Hey, everybody. I just noticed that my flag just fell. Oh, well, we have a down flag, but it doesn't matter. We are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is funny. It just fell like not even 2 minutes, 1 minute before I went live. It was like I was watching the screen because I was clicking the stuff to go live, and I saw the flag go. It was like, oops. Is that an indication of what's going to happen tonight? I don't know. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. And let's just open this here and here and here. Just funny. I saw the flag go down. It was just so funny. So if anything weird happens tonight, it must be a sign. It must be a sign. Here we go. Just gonna check if we're gonna do a little something here. At least we can be live, even though the microphone is really in front of it. But hey, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. And let me just turn on, check out the different websites I need in case we search for what's on, what's live, what's good and bad. I'm going to have a few things I'm going to ask you guys on the West Coast tonight, because there's number stations that are for the Pacific region. And I would like to know if you guys hear it. And I will actually participate in that by taking the junk off of my desk and taking that junk. And of course, I'm going to put the junk on that side. So 1 second again. Junk here. Take the Chromebook. And we're going to actually use this. Because we're going to use the Chromebook to go on SDRs in the West Coast and see if we can hear them on SDRs. And at the same time, I'll use SDRs. Oh, I can follow the SDRs in the Pacific Ocean with that also. So here we go. Hey, guys. Let me just start Kiwi SDR app on this Chromebook. And from here, we're going to be able to check out what is going on. So welcome, everybody. Nice to have you on board. And so, yeah, the flag is falling down. It's an indication of what's happening tonight. Everything is going to crumble. Everything is going to crumble. So reload. Okay. Here we go. Kiwi SDRs. And we're going to have the Kiwi SDR map. And so we're going to see what's available in number stations. So there's a few of them coming soon. We're going to try to tune them. In the East Coast, there's very little chance that we're going to get anything of this, but on the West Coast, it's possible. So we're going to focus on, I'm going to actually take the map, put it like this. And then I'm going to focus a little more. And focus on the West Coast SDRs. And I'm going to check if anything is received on the SDRs over here. So I'm going to check that out. And of course, there's a lot of other things we're going to check out. We have the, I don't know if you guys see it right here, that little device here, which is the ATS 20. We're going to get closer to it soon and not very, very long. So we're going to check that out. So, hope everybody's going to have fun tonight as we have this live show. So this is okay. I'm just gonna put this bigger because my old man's eyes need big text. So here we go. Here we go. Hope everybody's all right. I am having today a raspberry wine from south of on the south shore of Montreal, which is called Coteau Rougemont. And so it is a raspberry wine made right here in Quebec. So kind of a rosé um, made with raspberry. So it's kind of nice. So cheers, everybody. Here we go. Just open the bottle. It's a little sugary, but it's pretty good tasting. Nice to have all of you here. And so, whoops, I kicked the camera. Yeah, so like this, gonna be better. Anyways. So nice to have everybody here. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are live twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, North America. That's 0 hours UTC, so it's Thursday for the rest of the world. We are also live on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time. We talk about radio, and we just have fun. And, it's one of those things where we're alone in our man cave, and it's kind of fun to maybe have something where we're together with other people and talk about what's happening in the world of radio. There's a beautiful chat room with wonderful people. If you have a Gmail account, you can join in here and say hello. And of course, if you're not there, we have also a email. And talking of email, it reminds me that maybe I should check the email to see who's on. So let's see here. Email wise, we have. Okay. We have Elizabeth that is in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, says hello. Elizabeth says that she's been enjoying this show quite a lot. She is she says she has been in bed for the past couple of weeks. She hasn't been feeling very well, but it's fantastic how radio helps her, cope with what's happening. And she says the live shows are great as it takes my mind off what's happening in my personal life. And I want to thank everybody for saying hi every time. You have no idea how it touches me to the heart. And you have no idea how this old lady alone in her home feels welcome every time. And I want to thank you for that. It's been amazing, and it's been truly a fantastic experience to be here. Thanks for what you do, and God bless you. So, thank you very much, Elizabeth. I think I can speak for everybody saying I hope that definitely you feel better soon. And yes, you know what? I've been there. I've been, there were parts of my life when I had. It's not as bad today, but I've had, like severe anxiety and stuff like that. And when that gets you, you have no control. Your body, your mind takes over. It's tough. But I have to say that I do agree that radio has been there to help a lot in many circumstances throughout my almost 40 years of radio listening. And I think for a lot of us, it's something that is definitely helping out. And you know what? It touches me a lot when I get emails like that because um, over the years, I've had so many emails of people that have been sick or are, in cancer treatments or all sorts of things that are big challenge of life. It's like, you're wondering. It's those moments where, you know, life could take a different path, and it's, you worry a lot. We worry about it, and I don't know how many times I've got emails of people that I've replied to saying, well, the fact that me being here and me doing this has been a tremendous help in all of this. It's something, definitely, when you start, I've said it a few times, when you start doing YouTube, or when you start doing something live like this, the first thing that happens is that there's you and there's, the audience. And somehow at first you don't realize how the fusion of the audience and what you do is much more personal and much more something important. And I've started realizing quite quickly, actually, when I started doing the live shows, how for some people this was changing their lives or helping them in their personal lives in some way. And it's touching. I think of different shows that I did over the past years, including with my nephew Gabriel, and the people that still, even in some shows that I don't do anymore, like on the tech channel, people that are still contacting me and saying, "Hey, hope you're well, and I miss you." And it's like, wow, it's not something I was. I don't think it's something I was prepared to live through. That somebody on the other side of the world, or on, somewhere else where they are in front of their screens, but for some reason there's a contact, a bond that is done with a person. And I got to say that surprised me and still does today. How people are kind and wonderful, and how messages like this, touch me deeply. And I really hope that everything gets better, and that I think we can speak for everybody. I have no problem in speaking for everyone here in the chat and saying we all send you our love and our best wishes, so that you can get back to a more normal life, and enjoy the shows. Also, we have Richard Lemke, and says, a rare treat. Hello, Jill. October 20th, 2021. Both will be held at the same time. The Zoom meeting and official channel. How would we manage this occurrence? Yeah, I want to talk about this and see what we can maybe do to kind of have a CIDX / live show together. It's something that we're going to check out. So, hey, Richard in St. Albert, Alberta, Canada, welcome. And I think I heard your name again on some mailbag show. I'm almost wondering if it was in Radio Romania. Is it Radio Romania? I think it was. I heard it very quickly, and I was like, it's so standard now. I hear Richard Lemke on every single station I listen to. So nice to have you here from Alberta, Canada. And it's kind of cool to have everybody here. So that's taken care of, because I have a tendency to forget if the email if I don't actually do it. So, hey guys, in the West Coast, if you want to try something, okay, anybody in the West Coast, it's target for the Pacific. It's a radio teletype signal, and it's going to be on 17471. 17471. I'm going to use. I'm going to try with the VE6JY SDR and see if we can hear anything here. I'm going to go here. So 17471. It's a radio teletype, so it's an upper sideband. There it goes. I'm going to put the volume down. And we're going to see if we hear anything. I'm using the VE6JY SDR in Alberta. which is a very sensitive one. So we'll see. But I'm very curious. Is there going to be something to hear? This is F01. It's an RTTY number station that is from Russia. So it's the Asian Russian zone broadcasting, and its target is to the Pacific area. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. And it's going to be there in 2 minutes. 2 minutes at 0020 UT. 2 minutes. We'll see if anything is there. So welcome aboard, everybody. So I've been having fun with this little box, the ATS-25. I'm going to bring it close to the screen so you guys can see this. Let me just disconnect the wire, antenna wire. Actually, can even keep the antenna wire there. Almost. So here it is, that little box. So this is a very nice little device. I've been having fun with this. Honestly, I've been really, really having fun with this. It's really, really cool. And, I know it's nothing fancy. It's an Arduino with, the SI4732 chip and some software, but it's sensitive and it's been working quite well. I'm actually very happy with it. And I see a lot of negative comments on it. And I think the negative comments are a little offset. They're off, and some of them are not just off. I think they're just China bashing. I think we've gone to a point where there are people out there that just want to be negative because it's coming from China, and that's it. And removing that background noise for what it is, the ATS-25, it's actually surprising, honestly. Well built. It's pretty solid. It works great. It's much better and much improved, even in reception, to the ATS-20. So I've been having a lot of fun with that, honestly. So let's see here. Can I hear anything on 17471? F01 sounds like this, by the way. So if you guys hear it, let me put the volume down here. If you guys hear it, it sounds like this. So you should be hearing some kind of high-pitched RTTY. So I don't hear anything here. Nothing here. So I don't know if you guys hear anything anyways. There's one which will be the Morse code, the famous Morse code one, which is going to be on 16218 in 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to get that one. Morse code number station from Russia. And it's targeted to the Pacific once again. So anyways, let's say hello to everybody in the chat room. Try to catch up with everyone already so we can actually start a real show. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Mark Cope in Dallas, Texas, WA5153 SWL. Blind Picker, Rob, W0RAB in Connecticut. Nice to have you on board. Rob, nice to have you here. Phoenix, Arizona. We have Joe. Nice to have you here from Newmarket, Virginia. Salut TVDXR, nice to have you here. J'espère que tu vas bien dans ton coin de pays. The TVDXR is not very far from Montreal. David, KJ4CMOI, nice to have you on board, my friend. MAG315, nice to have you here. James Farley, nice to have you on board from Old Bridge, New Jersey. I have a favorite radio, the R5000 fired up. Cool. Great radio. Dwight, nice to have you here from Virginia. VT Radio, Paul, nice to have you on board. AA1SU from Northern Vermont. Charlie, W8CFO in Columbus, Ohio. VT Radio says, I'm going to work 4 different state QSO parties this weekend. Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and South Dakota. Cool. I'm trying to catch you on the air. We're going to see. You should find a way to give us some info on what frequencies are around where you're planned to be. Randall Klons, nice to have you here. Randall from Chicago. Dwayne, nice to have you on board. Joe Rodman from the Chicago area. What else we have? James Farley has a weird signal on 5697. 5697. Let me power on my Texan PL990X. 5697. Upper sideband, I would guess. Yeah, I'm hearing it. I believe this is, I think it's a form of Stanag. It does sound very weird. Perfect for, it's perfect for Halloween. 5697 sounds Halloweenish. You know, we could put that sound actually outside while trick or treating, and kids are going to be scared. It's funny because it's like a mix of signals. You know, that would be perfect. Perfect to, like, you know, we're hearing something from the other side. Oh, man. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board, my friend. And rainy evening in eastern Missouri. WA0113SWL. Nice to have you here. Here it's been a wonderful day. About 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius, which is warmer than usual for this time. And it's going to be like that for the next week. Just beautiful weather and around 70, 72 Fahrenheit. So we are treated with beautiful weather. Christian Marcoux, salut, j'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. Richard from Albany, New York. I'm happy to have good advice if possible. Fast Load, nice to have you on board. I'm not in Houston, but, you know, it's almost like a Houston command center here now. And Fast Load is in Montreal, of course. Tom DXer, WP2QED, nice to have you here from Hudson Valley, New York. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And Paul, nice to have you from Southwest Michigan. David KJ4CMY, listening to CFRX tonight. There is a religious station in the background. Can't identify it, though. On 6070, wonder if it's not some overloading that you're getting. So let's see what's on 6070 at this time. So CFRX is there. And what you can be hearing, okay, you know what? What could be religious? Because I know that they are renting airtime. Does it somehow sound like Brother Stare? Because Channel 292 from Germany is also there. And I know they rent airtime to Brother Stare. So if it kind of sounds like Brother Stare, you might be hearing Channel 292 at the same time in the background from Germany. Jetcrafter, nice to have you on board from a gray Maine. Missed a few shows, but glad to be back. Well, nice to have you back. Keegan, X80Xer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. And yes, the pirate flag has gone berserk. It was up to only about 2 minutes before the show started. Just so funny. I'm going to put it back up for Saturday. Others out of Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here. From Massachusetts. Was homesick from work today. Sick from work or sick at home? That's a different thing. You know, you could be sick from work. Tuned CKDO from Oshawa, Ontario this evening, 10 kilowatt, 500 miles in Massachusetts. Cool. Sometimes, medium wave is getting the right pattern just before sunset, because a lot of stations have a medium wave. A lot of stations have a pattern for daytime and for nighttime to avoid interference. So sometimes just before sunset, you're still in the daytime pattern, which favors a certain area, just before they switch to the nighttime pattern where you lose them. So maybe that could be one of the things that happened there. And a lot of people don't know that, but just before sunrise and just before sunset, a lot of stations are changing their patterns. Here in Montreal, a lot of stations are doing that. CJAD, for example, 800, has a pattern for day and a pattern for night. And so depending on the time you listen, it favors one region over another. And it all has to do, of course, with the fact that it doesn't want to interfere with other stations in the US, for example. That's why we have clear stations, clear channels. Those clear channels don't have to change. They can be full power all the time. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. Going to be in and out, lurking, participating, but I heard what you said. There is a very good unlisted Western Kiwi SDR. So thanks for sharing. And we're going to check it out. I'm going to look again. So are we already passed? Oh, 29. Okay. So let's check. So at 0, 2, let me just check it out here. 0, 1. Okay. So we're at 0.30. 0.30. That's interesting. I've got a different. Okay. There we go. So 16218 has a Morse code signal. 16218 M12 in 30 minutes. So that's a long time from now. Wasn't there something not long from now? Seems that I wasn't on the right. So Thursday, October 7th. Okay. So in half an hour, we got a half an hour for the stations. We're going to check it out. And maybe use an SDR in the Pacific area. Something like in Japan or something, and check out if one of the Japanese SDRs has these number stations there. So 30 minutes from now at 01 UT, we're going to check out for a Morse code M12 from Russia in CW. There's also a V13 one, which is, what's V13? V13, the New Star Broadcasting Station from Taiwan. So there's a Taiwanese one, V13, that will be broadcasting in Mandarin. So Taiwanese number station, and it sounds like there's a musical intro like this. Then there's going to be this. That sounds so creepy. And then there's a message. Okay, kind of interesting. It's like there's like tons of different things happening in a broadcast. There's going to be an interesting one to check out. V13. So V13 on 9276 and 11430 upper sideband /AM. I'm going to plug myself to a Japanese SDR for this one. I think it's going to be nice to check that out. And there's going to be, of course, the Morse code on 16218. We're going to check it out. So let's try to catch up as we reach the top of the hour. Because the one in the low frequency, 9 megahertz, I think it's not going to be for the West Coast, but the CW one on 16 megahertz, that could be a target for the West Coast of North America. That could be one. So I'm going to try it out. The CW one, 16218. But 9276, that one will be probably better on one of the Asian SDRs I'm going to try. Okay. What do we have? Let me just try to catch up here. So WF7I Homebrew. Nice to have you here from Virginia, rural Virginia. Enjoy the ETS 25 video series. I'm guessing I'm waiting for a portable SDR with larger touchscreen. It'd be nice if there would be one with imagine an SDR that comes out with a 10-inch screen like this. I think this is going to start to be interesting. And, not too thick, and that we can just bring with ourselves. Of course, it's already like this because I can, of course, go and use Kiwi SDR and tune in SDR around the world. But I mean, we all understand that we would like this to be its own radio to re-listen and have a nice waterfall and everything here. That'd be kind of cool in a very portable way. Tech Guy, nice to have you here. Untitled Chapter's Kitchen loves the ATS 25 videos. As much as I'd like to get one, I'm resisting for now. Yeah, it's not for everyone, and it's not a replacement for any good radio. It's truly, and that's pretty much what I've done. I didn't buy this thinking it was the best radio in the world. I bought it because I just wanted to buy it. It's truly I want to buy it, and of course I make videos, so there's a good side to buying it also and testing it out for sure. Vasti, nice to have you on board. Joe W1 INC Concord, New Hampshire. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Pretty cool to have everybody here from around the world. B. Holden, nice to have you here. KC1FIG, Bob in Massachusetts. Joe Rodman says hello, Elizabeth. Everybody says hello, Elizabeth, and hope that you feel better. So, and that you're always welcome. Of course. Everybody wants you to be better, and I think this is a demonstration of our love among everybody that's here and that actually has a great time listening to the radio. So here we go. Barry, nice to have you here from stormy central Kentucky. We have Mag 315 in North Carolina. Andrew David, nice to have you here. Sends prayers to Elizabeth, like pretty much everybody. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you here, Chris, and 3WER. I'm not Chuck. Nice to have you on board. Says hello to Elizabeth at the same time. Saturated Fats, nice to have you here in Michigan. From Michigan. Sending good vibes to Elizabeth, says Barry. Broad Scaling, nice to have you on board. And says this group has good intentions. Absolutely. Mobile Armored Strike Command. Hailing frequencies open from Boulder Hill. Sebastien Acari, nice to have you on board. And it's been a few years since last time I caught your show live. I'm glad you're still doing the show. I've gotten a bit busy with life, but I got back into shortwave listening last month. That's the story of a lot of us, where I don't think, honestly, I don't think everybody here kept a straight record of listening all the time to radio over the years, especially our old timers that we are. Over the years. It's going to be 40 years officially next year. Maybe 42-ish if you count the unofficial, I don't know what I'm doing times with portable multi-bands. I'd say that probably all of us suffered from that off and on moment where we've been on radio for a while, and then for some reason life kicks in, going to school, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, marriage for some, kids for some, all of that together, takes you out of what is not essential. And for a lot of us, that's a hobby. So a hobby is where you cut back if life gets a little intense. So I think for all of us, it's pretty much the way it is. So nice to have you here, Sébastien Le Carré. What else do we have? Cat King Radio. I talked to England today on channel 38, 37, 385 lower sideband with a Cobra 148 CB radio and 12 watts from New York City. That's totally exciting. Cool. I tuned to channel 6, the Super Bowl, and there was some activity. So definitely a lot of fun. And, Solar Flex is higher. So that opens up the possibilities now. Log 2112, nice to have you here from Nassau Bay, Texas. Yeah, it's not that big of a radio. Absolutely. The ATS-25 is still a small radio, but it's bigger than the ES-20 at least. Log 2112, nice to have you here. Mobile Armor Strike Command, the ATS-25 I purchased has arrived. The tuning knob is not a standard knob. It is a membrane type rotary switch type. The color is a metallic purplish pink color. Huh. Interesting. What else do we have? Fais attention à toi, les VDXer. Toujours un plaisir. So, and you had only a magnet mount CB antenna. Wow, that's pretty cool. When conditions are amazing, you need very little to really DX the world. When things work out, they just work out. WF7I Homebrew. Hearing music on 6925. 6925. Anything here? Not really hearing anything here. Sorry. So let's prepare ourselves for a Japanese SDR or something for 20 minutes from now. I'm going to tune one of those frequencies already. So I'm on a Japanese SDR and using a Wellbrook. Let's tune 9276. 76. And upper sideband. And we're going to see if we hear anything in 20 minutes, 19 minutes time. I'll repeat the frequencies when we get close, guys. Yes, you should get your ham radio license, Cat King. If it opened up your mind of how you could be excited with contacts all over the world, come on. Pretty cool. Hellschreiber Field Day. Feldhell, sorry. Ronald, nice to have you here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Question, where did you order your ATS-25 from? On Amazon. It's available on Amazon. That's where I got it. And the reason I bought it from Amazon is my two best experience with the ATS-20 and the Chinese Malahite has been rather bad over eBay. Very long delays and very complex situation. So I decided I'm going to get it on Amazon because if it doesn't work right, if there's something, it's going to be easier to deal with Amazon than it is to deal with, the eBay stuff of I didn't get it, I got it, it doesn't work. It's like, I got enough of that. So I bought it on Amazon. It's available there. It's a little more expensive than, I could have had probably maybe 20, $25 less on eBay. But I thought the $25 was worth it for the simplicity of just, not having too much trouble if something happens. Dimitri, nice to have you here. Darren Rogers, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Chris Alpha Tango and 3WER in the East Coast, loving your Facebook and your YouTube. Thanks for being here. Log 3112, working the ART 75 and SDR console tonight. Cool. I'm not Chuck, is KJ4FX. Pretty cool. It's kind of weird. It's more. I would say it's more like some kind of Stanag, but it's kind of weirdish. It's almost like there's a mix of signals. Skip, nice to have you here in 2EI from New Jersey. Barry says it's storming here, so nothing but lightning crashes. I had to do some storm spotting before it got dark. HA, nice to have you here from Idaho. David McCormick, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Google is fading. It is fading. I'm soon to have just a gray t-shirt. Mike WX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Yogi, nice to have you here from Hong Kong. Exciting rainy conditions this coming weekend. Exciting. So that's best for radio. You just stay in and listen to the radio. Shelly, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. David McCormick. ATS 2025 is fun. Let's see what the ATS 100 is all about. Maybe it's going to be a big 10-inch thing. Steve, nice to have you on board from Melbourne, Australia. Robert DeVilla, nice to have you here from the Santan Valley, Arizona. WSO9 Homebrew says 6925. A woman's voice sounded like this is a big ass radio. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Gustavo Bernandez, nice to have you on board from Venezuela. I had actually, me and Sheldon had a kind of an email over a station that wants to be on the air. That's going to be kind of a satanic radio station, and we've been wondering, should we talk about it? It's kind of a very touchy subject, but anyways, if you guys hear some satanic radio transmissions this October, apparently it's going to be on the air. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you here. Channel 292 is the only other station I could find. Moaning and someone else. Well, the moaning pretty much says it's Brother Stare. So you're hearing the moaning sessions, which also are great soundtracks for Halloween. Nothing better than the Brother Stare moaning sessions in loudspeakers while you're trick-or-treating. I think this is like perfect, going to hell type radio. For Halloween, it's perfect. David, greetings from Kansas, KC0DAA. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Corn Patch DX. Mark checking in from Iowa. No radio reports to share tonight. I've been looking after the YL who has been very sick. That's the good thing to do. Take care. And when she's sleeping, you slip out, go listen to the radio until she needs more help. But yeah, I hope she gets better soon. Thinking about it, David McCormick, Brother Stare dead. It means that we're listening to zombie broadcasts. It's like, Return of the Dead or something. It's we listening to Brothers Stare on Shortwave is really, really like, one of those Return of the Dead type movies. John Beckham, is I really like what you have shown for your video in the ATS 25. Man. Others out of Crafter's Kitchen, what you say about medium wave patterns seem to be spot on. This was 2253 UT on a Sony 6700W. Yeah, it's possible. When we don't hear something regularly, but we hear it at the time when it's pretty much, sunset-ish time. We start having that skywave coming. But it's still not sunset yet. So, they waited the last minute to do that pattern, that pattern change, because they want to make sure that they get the maximum out of that signal. Because often the pattern change is not just a pattern change; it's also a power change. Some stations will drop for from 10,000 watts to 500 watts at night. It's crazy. But if you get them just at that time, they're still at 10,000 watts. You're gonna get them. But then when they change the pattern, it's gone. It happens on a lot of medium wave. And that's why sunset, sunrise listening on medium wave can bring you some really interesting DX. Keegan is doing his reception with his Ethon Grundig Field BT radio. Log 2112, 8061 upper sideband. ID was MKD. From Cyprus. Huh, interesting. Pretty cool. VT radio just worked Sao Tome and Principe. Sao Tome and Principe. On 80 CW. Very off copy, but I got it. Wow. S9 OK. That's a very rare one. You don't hear Sao Tome amateurs much. And pretty much all of Africa is a darn good DX target for amateur stations. David McCormick's CFZM sent 40 kilohertz, my new favorite station at night. What else do we have? Let's check it out here. 1, 2, 3 ABC. Nice to have you here. And let's try to. The L330 feels like a toy compared to the 990. Oh, it's much smaller. That definitely is a very small radio, but don't be fooled. It's not a toy. It's a darn capable one for the size and the price. Raya Yarabamba read that Deutsche Welle is launching shortwave radio service for Afghanistan. Who would have thought in these news? Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now. It's on, actually. It's been on since the, I think, when it happened pretty much the week that all the crap went up in Afghanistan. What I find interesting on this is, for a station that is really on its way out technically, considering what's happening, and they had so few transmissions, I was very surprised that the Deutsche Welle from Germany would be the one with more transmissions towards Afghanistan on shortwave. But it's kind of cool. Matt, MDK2 says, I was able to copy the Chinese robot VC13 a few months ago. That was neat. That definitely is neat. I mean, you're well placed in the West Coast. Easier for you guys. And definitely very neat. I still remember how cool I thought it was, because that was a real cool catch that I had a couple of years back. I was listening when Radio New Zealand in the summer was not using 13740, they were using 15720. So at least 3 or 4 years, even more. And solar activity was higher at the time, so it was like quite a few years back. And I remember listening to Radio New Zealand with a really good signal, and it was about 0458 UT, which is close to midnight here. No, 3:58. Sorry, wrong time. Close to midnight, and I started hearing this pterodyne, this tone. It's definitely something that signed on in AM mode, very close. And Radio New Zealand's on 15720. And I'm a little surprised. And I use upper sideband to see where the other signal is from. And I can actually definitely hear the signals on 15721, only 1 kilohertz away. And at the top of the hour, 04, I started hearing these Russian numbers being repeated. And that's where I understood it was a Russian number station to the Pacific. But I was so amazed. I mean, it's surprising still to get a Russian number station like we do in the afternoon and so on. But it's become so regular that it's like, yeah, it's kind of the standard DX, you know. But 15721 had a big challenge because it had that strong Radio New Zealand signal next to it. Plus, I mean, it's coming from the Asian side of Russia to the Pacific area. And that also makes it a tremendously good DX also. And I still remember how amazed that was. And I heard it more than once. I heard it that summer. I probably heard it sign on maybe a dozen times through the summer. It was not there every night. It really depended on the propagation conditions. But it's definitely so cool. You're like, wow, this is really, really cool. Because it's not the kind of thing you hear every day. Once again, why shortwave is so fun to play with. All the stuff that you never think would be there and is definitely there. Okay. Robert Prosper, a tablet has all the computational power to run an SDR, doesn't it? Why can't a dongle be connected to a tablet? It could technically. And you could plug in an RTL SDR dongle to some Android tablets. Definitely, it would work. And you could run SDR Touch. Now, this one being a Amazon Fire 10 HD Fire 10 tablet has some weirdness to it that prevents you from really running properly this software, and that you need that special driver. But you know what? Definitely there could be. But you know, let's talk about not having any external stuff on it. Some kind of 10-inch touchscreen with a SI 4732 chip in it. That's like the ATS 25, but in a 10-inch form with a waterfall and everything. That could be so cool to have. I would be one of the first to buy one of those. I can tell you that. Now maybe it's going to be interesting and a game changer, but not with a small screen. I don't find what is with a small screen a game changer. Gang of Four, nice to have you here from New Hampshire. But yeah, tablet SDR. You know, of course you can do it with the Kiwi SDRs on the tablet, but it's not the same. You're not. It's not a radio. Your tablet is not a radio. It's running an SDR from somewhere else, but it's still cool though. Mike Jam, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. Robert Prosper dropped out of it for decades, but returning to it. Cool. John Beckham says, I am dating myself here, but I first got into shortwave around 67. Wow, that's cool. Lots of stuff back then. Kelly, nice to have you here. Hail shortwave from Southwest Colorado. James Farley says, if the ATS-25 had a full screen waterfall switch and noise reduction like the Malahite, I would buy one. Mike WX50, what radio did you have back when you started? John Beckham, okay. Ronald, hello to everyone from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Where did you purchase the ATS-25? Yeah, Amazon. It was on Amazon. Just type ATS-25 DSP radio or receiver on Amazon. Is going to pop up. There's one seller from China, and it took 2 weeks to get here. 2 weeks to get here. So in 3 minutes, guys, I want you guys, especially on the West Coast, okay? If you're on the West Coast, try 16218 CW. 16218 CW. Or if you don't have CW on the radio, just go to 16217 upper sideband. Okay? In 3 minutes. I'll repeat 16218 CW or 16217 upper sideband. It's going to be Morse code. It's coming from the Asian Russia site, and it's a Morse code number station from Russia. And I will be checking out here on a Japanese SDR in 2 minutes, 9276 and 11430. So if you guys want to try it, even on the West Coast, 11430 maybe, but it's daytime path pretty much. Or try it anywhere else in the world that you are in. 9276 11430. That one is voice. It's the V13 Taiwan number station. And this is going to be interesting to see if we hear anything here. So let's put the volume up here. I'm on 9276, and we're going to switch to 11430 if we hear nothing. But this is definitely going to be interesting to check out. I am using on my Chromebook the Kiwi SDR app, and I am on a SDR that is in Japan, and that uses a Wellbrook ALA 330, so which is a loop antenna, by the way. So this is like 2112. You don't need a Wellbrook, and MLA 30 is almost as good. The Wellbrook might be a little better, but the Wellbrook is close to the W6LVP, and I can tell you it's darn closer than MLA 30. Buy an MLA 30 and another radio instead. So less than a minute. 9276 11430 for the voice. And M12 Morse code on 16218. Check that out, guys. I'll even try the Morse code here, even though I know that chances are very low I'll hear anything. Eleven four 30. 11430 in Japan is heard. Look at that, guys. It's on. 11430, and this is an SDR in Japan. Hearing it from Japan. This is kind of cool. V13. Roughest Newt, nice to have you on board from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. John Doe, good evening. Question. I see these AM/FM shortwave receivers for automobiles. How good would that work? I would imagine in Saudi Arabia with strong stations, it would cut through noise. Depends what model that you see, because there's not a lot of them. What model did you see exactly? Jetcrafter, we should have news of the Conicom GP7 SSB quite soon, because they were at they had been in California. So They should be any day. They should be out soon. Jeff Ball, nice to have you here from South Dakota, WD0EXR. Nice to have you here, Jeff. Patrick, nice to have you here. I think Satanic Radio follows me on Twitter. They're into shortwave because they commented on my radio choice. Yeah, there's some kind of Satan thing. Keegan, the church lady. Huh? Yeah, I remember that Saturday Night Live. That was good. With Dana Carvey. Brad, nice to have you here. N5LUL or WA5192SWL. WAJB. Hey, Jim from North Carolina. Kelly, yes, tune in to Satanic Shortwave, October 15 on 9955, 2230. Also, Halloween, 2230, 2300, 9955. And also online and by phone, WRMI. Anthony, nice to have you here. Maybe your viewers would like to know there's a sale right now at Ham Radio for Dummies on Amazon, 51% off. Just got it. So, hey, Ham Radio for Dummies, if you guys want to have that. Gang of Four had the Texan PL990X for 2 weeks now. Solid unit and quick delivery from Anonco. Anonco is amazing. And they are great. That's such a great radio, honestly. Such a great radio. Bobby Burgess, I used to have both Radio Romania International and WRMI call to listen numbers. Khalid, nice to have you here. Enjoying song on 11860. Al, you don't even need to spend $500 for a starter radio. You want to start a radio? Get the Texan H501X. If you like big radios, if you like a radio that performs, that is amazing, and that has great sound quality, and what we don't see very often, FM stereo with the two speakers. Texan H501X from Anonco. It's going to be there in like a few days, and it's going to cost you about 200 some 235, 250, a little more. What is it? 200 and I don't remember the price, but between $200 to $300, you're gonna get it. Amazing radio. It's personally, it's the best right now. So pretty good. Richard from North Texas, nice to have you here. Rick from Milwaukee, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Sebastina Cari. Yesterday I was listening to a channel on 15600. They were playing traditional Chinese music. It was clear, and then suddenly it was gone. You probably got the fire drink. 15600 is one of the frequencies where Sound of Hope Taiwan broadcasts. So you probably heard a jammer from China, which is traditional Chinese music all the time, and it just leaves the airwaves. Yeah, Dimitri, it's Pirate Month. Absolutely. KW1161 from Tucson, Arizona. Texan H501X, Texan PL990X, they don't have chuffing. And they're great radios. Matt, MDK2's got the CW on 16218 in Colorado. Cool. Mark Cope is hearing 16218 Dallas, Texas. That's cool. It's making it to part of North America. Brad is hearing 16218 too, but weak. That is cool. John McClure, nice to have you here. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Mag315 picking up code on 16217. Larry Cordy from New York, nice to have you here. John Beckham's got the CW on 16218. This is so cool. Definitely so cool. Yeah, it's possible. Hank Parr, nice to have you here. As Matt says, after 2 minutes, already gone. Matt, can you hear 11430 on the Key West DR in the Philippines? But there was nothing here on the California SDR. Yeah, it's daytime path across the Pacific, so 11 and 9 megahertz probably not making it much. Gene Radio TV guy, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Poison flower, poison flower from Perth, Western Australia. Very tempted by watching your video on the ATS-25. Think about it as a novelty item, not necessarily an official decent receiver you want to have. But if you have money to burn and you want to have something weird and unique, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yogi can hear 11430 on his Texan. Cool. Like 2112, those Wahlbergs are pricey, but everyone I know swears by them. Those who got them, that is, and I like tech specs too. Yeah, but do as you wish. I mean, everybody wants to do as they wish, but I personally think that an MLA30 does the job. And Wellbrooks and the W6 LVP loop that I have are way overpriced for what they are. They could be way cheaper and still be very good. My W6 LVP, I've seen a lot of compare videos with the Wellbrook. They are very close. And here, apart if you do long wave and medium wave DXing, they're not worth the money. That's my opinion, and that's an opinion of a guy that has a Wellbrook that cost him 600 Canadian dollars versus an MLA30 that cost him 67 Canadian dollars. I can tell you, I never would buy any loop that is expensive ever again. Not worth it. Not worth it. And I can tell you the MLA30's low noise amplifier is very low noise. The only, like I said, the only part where maybe they are winners, if you're a medium wave, long wave DXer. That okay. Because as we go down in frequency, the MLA30 isn't that great. But the W6 LVP loop has also its edges. It's not that great above about 25 megahertz, honestly. And I've seen a lot of negatives about the Wellbrook also. Got to be careful because a lot of people are incapable of taking something that they bought for $500 and saying bad things about them because they paid $500. And I'm out of that loop. I can tell you W6 LVP loop, I would never buy one again, and I would never have bought one if I had the MLA30 first. Not worth it. Never will be worth it, the price it's sold for. And I'm happy to have one. You know why? Because I can speak about it in knowledge. If somebody says, well, you don't know what these big, expensive loops are all about. Okay, fair. No, I know. I've got one. It ain't different from the MLA30. It doesn't receive better or lower noise more. And the MLA30 works very well. And you can get multiple MLA30s to do everything. One for your home, one for DXing, one for, because they're inexpensive. For the rest, yeah, it's fine. You got one. It's fine. What I'm not saying here, because people sometimes hear what they want to hear, is, oh, well, so my Walbrook is bad. That's what I said. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just not better. It's all I'm saying. I didn't say it was bad. But then again, I will add one side. Medium wave, long wave, yes, it might be much better. But not on shortwave. And most of the shortwave spectrum, they're pretty much equal. Can you read the TV guy? Last week, I wrote to John from Voice of Reporter Week. He played my music request last Thursday. No Surprises by Radiohead. Cool. What else do we have? Barry, I hear jamming Mace. Yeah, there's this, I don't know if it's jamming or radar, but definitely somebody is doing something over. So it's very chatty. Seems there's a long message from Taiwan in Mandarin on 11/4/30. Can hear it really well. Dave, nice to have you here from Indianapolis. MDK2 strong over the horizon radar coming at 11/4/30. On every receiver I try, it's not jamming. Yeah, it sounds more like a radar. That definitely is the case. I don't hear the radar here, but who knows? Maybe they're using a radar to interfere. Kelly, I had to replace my Kato K1102 recently after Cuban jamming noise on 6030 wiped out my SSB fine tuning. Well, it's not Cuban jamming that did anything to your radio, that's for sure. If the fine tuning whacked out, it just whacked out. Nothing that you're listening to is going to whack out your radio. WF7 Iron Bruce says was just trying to work S9 OK from Sao Tome. 40 meters 7032. Huge pileup on CW. I can bet. It's a very rare one. KimXZ76 just resubscribed to the CIDX. That was a wide choice. Wise choice. And it's pretty cool. Hope you enjoy the messenger. Log 2112, that loaded antenna behind you. What scanner does that work? That loaded antenna behind me. What are you talking about? Oh, that's not a scanner. It's a CB radio. It's that's a TRC 214, 3-channel CB radio. It's the same one that you see in Stranger Things on Netflix. Fossil Channel. My ham studies are going very well, my friend. Tomorrow's course number 5. We're in inductors and coils and resonance and stuff like that right now. Yeah, VT radio. I was not expecting that we could hear it on the East Coast. It's targeted for the Pacific. It's coming from, Asia. In 4 minutes, you guys, I'm just gonna lower the noise here. Kind of cool. Coming in in Japan, anyways. So if you guys want to try another one in the West Coast, the M12 Morse code station is going to be on in 4 minutes on 15918. 15918 CW. Of course, if you have upper sideband only or lower sideband, well, upper sideband is going to be 15917 upper sideband. So try it out in 4 minutes time, guys. Just tune your radios. Mostly, it's not totally impossible to get this on the East Coast, but I think it's going to be mostly a West Coast thing. 15918. I'm gonna punch it here. 15917 upper sideband because this does not have CW. So 15918 CW or 15917 upper sideband, and that'll be at 0120. So in 3 minutes times, a little more than 3 minutes from now. Okay. What else do we have? Matt, MDK2, back in 2017, I was getting V13 really well in the morning at 12 UT. Just right on my satellite 750 in an homebrew passive loop. Yeah, if it was on a lower frequency, it probably was a good catch. Artist Crafter's Kitchen. Watch a bunch of videos today on older and newer Grundig satellites. What is amazing is that even the older German ones to the newer ones in Portugal and China have great sound and engineering. What else do we have? Dave, nice to have you here from Michigan. Glide Rider, nice to have you here. And 5 VWN in California mountains. John Beckham, I was amazed as I relocated my wire antenna to the other day of receiving more stations from 12 to 17,000 kilohertz. Yeah, that's to do with a lot of things. Remember that solar activity is higher. Remember that changing seasons is changing also the propagation characteristics, but definitely also really reallocating an antenna sometimes very totally helps in getting more and really good. Anthony, do you know another loop that is not in China and not 500? The MLA30. MLA30 is $45 US. And it's made in China, and you're going to get it. I got 3 of them here. I can tell you. They're amazing. 2 that I need to do stuff with. MLA30 is definitely a game changer for a lot of people with a lot of noise. That said, and I will say it even with a Walbrook, anybody that has a Walbrook or W6LVP, if you have very low noise conditions, a dipole or a very long wire will outperform all of these loops. These loops are great for low noise if you have a noisy environment. Adesh Madhar, nice to have you here from Trinidad in the Caribbean. Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. So anybody hearing the CW stations on 15918 or 15917 upper sideband in the West Coast? I'm still hearing 11430 here coming in. Man, that's a long message. There's a lot of things to say from Taiwan, it seems, from the number station. It's a number station, Canadian Radio TV guy. Next target is in 20 minutes and even lower in frequency. We're going to try that one too, 14518. I tried that one in 20 minutes. What else do we have? I'm not that far from catching up with everybody. Do I listen to Radiohead? I have a few songs that I like. I've never took the time to listen to Radiohead albums, which I should. I have YouTube Music here. I can listen to almost any album. And I think sometimes it's fun to sit down and listen to something you never listened to. I mean, I totally hear, I know quite a few songs from Radiohead, Karma Police, and what's the other one? Weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I'm a creep. That's what it was. I was looking at a word that was like creep, but it didn't came to mind. Which I do love. It's a nice song. It's a great song. But I would need to take probably the time to listen more to some albums from Radiohead. What else do we have? Glide Rider does 5 watts CW. So you're really QRP type guy. QRP type guy. Skip is asking your call sign. What's your call sign? Mark Fisher from Southern Illinois. Nice to have you here. Zen Farrow. Nice to have you here. 11430 sounds like radar here in New York City. Yeah, you might be hearing the radar, but on the Japanese SDR, because this is not from my home. It's from a Japanese SDR right now. We hear the station. Matt, MDK2, Morse code coming on soon. Yes, CBers, Tuborg Tim. CBers are going to have FM possibilities. I don't know what's going to change. I don't know what's going to change, but Matt, well, 31 meters, in darkness, Pat, does actually work. It's like, remember Radio Australia 9580. So with good propagation, probably you had it. 31 meters is in good conditions is even a darkness, Pat, for sure. Glad Rider, subscribe to this channel, realizing how really little I really know about shortwave. Yes, and this is a great place to know more about it. So, Mark Cope, Brad, Mag315, Benny in Australia, Matt, MTK2 in Denver, hearing 15198. So all the West Coast is hearing it. So, this is to compensate. Tonight I thought it would be fun for you guys. You know why? Because I always have those European ones that half of the time the West Coast doesn't hear a thing. And I was watching the Preom website, and I was like, you know what? Maybe tonight let's try to bring signals from the other side that we don't hear on this side to please everybody. Zenfaro likes the MLA 30 plus. BZN RLD, nice to have you here as the CW on the Oregon coast. So all the West Coast is having it. Martin, nice to have you here from Great Britain. Bubbles, nothing in Florida. Got a week. Whoops. Got a weak station. Got a weak voice on 6507, says log 2112. That is a frequency for several weather stations. So you're probably hearing at this time, 01:30. Oh, you're hearing Iqaluit. You might be hearing Iqaluit, 6507. Do I hear it here? I'm hearing it here. If you guys want to try it, Iqaluit and the northern and Nunavut, Canada, 6507. It's on until 01:30. I'm hearing it. Six five. It's in French right now. Women's voice, French language. 6507. It's the maritime station out of the northern Nunavut, Canada territories in Iqaluit. And yeah, it's on right now. Wow. I've never heard it at this time. I heard it at the 22:30-ish UT time, but it's the first time ever I hear it at this time. Let's try something, guys. I'm going to put the antenna because I'm curious. I'm going to put the MLA30 loop on the little ATS 25 here, and we're going to try to get this station here. So let's put it here. So let's go to key 6507, enter, mode, upper sideband, volume. Look at that. That thing is sensitive. So ATS 25 getting 6507, Iqaluit Maritime Weather from Nunavut, Canada. And it's actually getting it quite well. So it tells you that radio, I'm sold. It's a fun thing, and it's not just a junk. It's actually, it works. So this is nice. So thanks for sharing, log 2112 6507. Kelly's hearing faintly CW on 15918. Matt says probably nothing from M12 at 0140. That happens if there's nothing much to say in the traffic. That's possible. But we'll still try it in case of traffic, but we'll still try it. What else do we have? Don't get me started, Jay Watterson 69, about the Degen 31 MS. Keegan is hearing CW on 15917 upper sideband in Arkansas. So no, Chesapeake, Virginia is on 6501. 6507 is right now the Iqaluit, Canada. Barry, China has been showing face towards Taiwan. Sorry, those messages tonight probably important. It's possible. Who knows? Who knows? John Beckham receiving 15918 in Northeast Florida. Very weak. Wow, this is cool. Adam, anyone know a good shortwave radio? $100 or less. I just need something that I can hook up to my Bluetooth speaker with a auxiliary cord. So Texan PL330 would be a good choice. Probably the best under $100. Terry Cash, 15917, upper sideband received in North Georgia using the Russian Malachite MLA 30 plus antenna. Cool. Keegan is using W6LVP loop. Matt says, my daughter was in marching band her freshman year, and their show used Creep in their program. Cool. 14, no more excuses. 14518 in 9 minutes. Maybe, but maybe nothing. Morse code from Russia, number station. Dan in humid Ohio. Nice to have you here, Dan. And 8WJZ. James Farley got S6507 S4. Pretty cool. Can you read a TV guy? Oh, we're all shortwave creeps. We're all radio weirdos. And the hell with RF noise going here. It doesn't belong here. I like that. You have to just put it in the songs. We're all shortwave creeps, all radio weirdos. What the hell is the RF noise doing here? It doesn't belong here. That's what we got to do. Richard, Radio Argentina, WRMI coming in good tonight. Yeah. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just check it out. It's not an aircraft, Canadian Radio TV guy. It's a maritime station. 6507 is going to give you maritime weather broadcasts and ice warnings for the Arctic oceans and their areas. It's a maritime station, not a aircraft. Volmet has nothing to do with that. Like 6501 is maritime for the Atlantic Ocean from Chesapeake, Virginia. So, yep, the voice is in French. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about propagation, yes. Female voice. Bubbles is amazed at how he's hearing it faintly. Cool. 6507 coming well in southern Maine. Weak but readable in Oregon coast. 6507 in Indianapolis. Pretty cool. Matt says, I think some folks might be... Oops. Just try to find it back. Thinking of NMN Chesapeake when they say maritime weather, but that's on 6501. Yep, 6501 for Chesapeake. VE2FJG radio. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Dave, what is on 6507? It's the Iqaluit, Nunavut, Canada weather. Still on right now. Still on. By the way, don't believe the schedules. The schedules that always say that it stops at a certain time. On all maritime Canadian stations, they're always off. So it just ended at 01:35. And if you want to decode some Navtex at 03:30, it often comes in quite well around 8416. So, hey, you guys that heard it, just heard the northern parts of Canada. Iqaluit, Canada. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. You know, it's one of those things we don't hear very often, the Arctic Canadian signals. I believe Iqaluit is the only one active right now. There's one in Resolute. And I was in the Navtex broadcast. They were saying that Resolute is off. So everything that says Resolute is apparently not working, but Iqaluit is definitely working. And like I said, 0330, you can even get the Navtex transmission from on 8416 from Iqaluit also. I haven't tried that one in a long time. I don't know how well it propagates at this time, actually. Brad, 6507 week copyable. Max 315 hearing 6507 in North Carolina. Rich in Atlanta, hearing it S7. Cool. Bubbles hearing it in Florida. And Matt, what else do we have? 6754 Trenton Military for Keegan is there. What else do we have? Yeah, all the stations from the maritime stations, the schedules I've seen, they're off. Iqaluit is never at the time that it says on any broadcast schedules. And one of the things about the NAVTEX, they say it's like 10 or 20 or minutes or something like that. I've had it sometimes last 1 hour. So it depends what they have to say. It's not always the same length. So don't believe it. They usually start at the time that the schedule will say, but they'll be much longer than what the schedules actually say or mention. And if you don't hear it at the time that it's supposed to start, stay there. Iqaluit NAVTEX, for example, I've sometimes have it sign on up to 5 minutes late, but it does sign on. So just a few tips from a guy that actually heard them quite often. Skip, heard him 6507, heard in New Jersey on the Texan PL 880 and the whip in the office. Imagine, that's good. That is good. Log 2112. See, that's what I love about shortwave. A random signal, may not have heard it ever, but today you do. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rich, yeah, for XZ 6607. Let me try it out here. Did I hear it? 6606 upper sideband. That's not very strong, but if you guys hear Morse code on 6606 upper sideband or 6607 CW, that's for XZ, the maritime station in Israel. You're actually hearing Israel. And if you guys want to try it, maybe it's not going to be there because it seems that the other message was kind of a quick one. 14518 14518 CW or 14518 517 upper sideband. I'm going to try it with the Alberta station SDR here. So 14 CW. And let's go to 14518. It's possible that's not going to be anything there. The other station was pretty quick. So if you guys hear Morse code, that's the M12 Morse code station from Russia. Some fun listening tonight. Rick went to the Insider program to get Windows 11. Okay, well, you didn't need to. You can get it officially from the Microsoft download site since yesterday. It's an official release now. Ken, what service is on 6535? You hearing something there? 6535. This is aeronautical communications you might be getting. There's some HFDL, which is some HF digital link. And there might be some voice also. But 6535 is aeronautical communications. Fred, hearing 6507. Oops, I lost the, there we go. In Kansas City in French. David McCormick, I love my Texan H501X, best radio in 2021. And his opinion, it is definitely a great radio. John Meckham, I've located the ATS 25 for approximately 108. Is that a relatively good price? It's roughly what I paid. About 110 US dollars. So that's what I paid. And I don't think it's much lower than that. I might have seen one at 95 on eBay, but that's approximately the price. What rig am I using? Well, it depends on many things. So I do have plugged into my MLA30, a Texan PL 990X right here, which is what I punch in frequencies. On the laptop here, I'm using some SDRs from around the world. I show you guys that I was using also an ATS 25 right there, plugged in on the MLA30 also. I do have an SDR Play RSPDX also on the MLA30 because I've got this little box here. I'm going to just show you guys. For those that don't know what it is, right here, this little thing here that has all these connectors on it is a multi-coupler. It's a my MLA30 comes in one end, so right here, and on the other side I got 4 outputs that all are equal and give me the possibility to plug in at the same time 4 radios that are actually capable of receiving the MLA30 signal without interfering with each other or having any loss. And it is truly an amazing little device, and I'm happy to have that. So that is definitely one of the cool purchases that I've had. So I can plug in. I've got all the cables, so I can plug in up to 4 radios at the same time, listening to different things, thanks to that multi-coupler here. What else do we have? Like 2112, I could see it but not hear it on SDR console. I could hear it but not see it on the R75. Huh, interesting. John Beckham, I can usually pick up CHU on 14670 and not on 3330. Matt, still remember the live show? Jill heard the VFF Iqaluit for the first time ever. It must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I was like a little kid. Almost like tonight. I was almost like a little kid tonight. David McCormick, my MLA30 amp LED is really bright. Must have run out of low power LEDs. Yeah, if you have the white one, it's quite bright. To give you an idea of how funny it is, mine is sticking. It's holding by the wires. It's not on a desk or anything. So the bias T is actually hanging like vertical, and the white light shines through the room, but it's actually going through the door. It's so bright that when I wake up at night, the brightness I see when I look out the bedroom door is the LED from that box. And sometimes I'm thinking, man, I need to put some tape over it or something because it's way too bright in the middle of the night. WS7I Homebrew hearing 6606 upper sideband in Virginia S9. What else do we have? Yeah, it seems that it wasn't there on 14518. Probably a null message. Anything else coming up? What's coming up? In 15 minutes, we have another V13 Chinese or Taiwanese message. And we have a F06 RTTY 13370. So 7502 for the voice. That won't make it to us. 13370. That's not impossible. It's an RTTY signal. So if you guys want to try 13370, that's possible. I mean, Radio New Zealand comes in on 13840. Why not? 7502 is going to be really an Asian signal. So let me just go to an Asian SDR here. So it's in 14 minutes anyways. I'm going to go, so East Asia. Let's go to, once again, I'm going to use, what's this one? This one is from Russia, an Eastern Russia receiver. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to, and Khabarovsk, if you can pronounce it right. 7502. I'm going to actually hang here in the upper sideband. This one should hear the V13. But West Coast, try 13370 upper sideband to hear the radio teletype digital signal. But that's only in 13 minutes, guys, okay? Mag 315 using his old Kenwood R2000. Oh man, I remember the the 80s when I was looking at Popcom or something and seeing the Kenwood R2000 and so on, and finding out how cool these radios and even today, a Kenwood R2000 is a cool radio. Zen Faros, what was the model multicoupler again? Dave, how does one find that multicoupler? So, okay. I'm going to put it in the chat. It's a Streetsburg multicoupler. I think it's Matt, MDK2, that actually mentioned it to me. And I got to say, I've been loving it. I'm going to put the link in the... they're expensive. I want to tell you guys just before you look at it. So here they are, the multicouplers. They have multicouplers for HF and also for VHF. But this is the MCA 104 is what I have. And it's 500 kilohertz to 50 megahertz, 4 ports. It does work fairly well in low and below 500 kilohertz, by the way. So it's just that they're not giving that detail. It's BNC connectors. It's die-cast aluminum. Comes with a power supply. It isolates each radio. So, this thing is expensive, but when you look at the specs, you kind of understand why they are expensive. I mean, they are extremely well made. They isolate each radio. There's no interference between one radio and the other. It really, really is great. And I can attest how well it isolates. I had one radio that was super noisy, and it's because I had a cheap cable on it, and it was actually going over one of my mini PCs here. And it was picking up tons of noise from the computer. And the radio was super noisy, but none of the other radios plugged in had the noise. So it tells you how well it isolates each radio to make sure that the noise from one never goes to another one. I have to say, I thought it was expensive when I bought it. I totally understand why it's that price, honestly, because they really did a great job with this thing. So here they are, Streetsburg's made in the USA, multicoupler. So for once, I'm going to share something that's not made in China. Here we go. Link is in the chat room if you guys want to check them out. And they have 2 ports, 4 ports, 8 ports. Today I look at my multicoupler. I wish I'd chosen the 8 port. I have so many radios I put at the same time. I wish I had 8 port because sometimes I have 4 radios on it. I have the SDR running, I have the ICOM, I've got portables, and I wish I'd have more plugs for other radios to try stuff. But it's cool, and it actually, for me, it's nice because it lets me test out radios with the same exact antenna. So it's a real compare, So when I was using the ATS-25, it was on the multicoupler. When I was the Texan PL990 right now is on the multicoupler. I've got the ICOM in the back is in the multicoupler. I've got the RSPDX SDR on the multicoupler. So, it's really cool. Really cool. What else do we have? Yeah, 6607 is the exact frequency on CW, but 6606 upper sideband is 4XZ. in Israel. Artist Autocrafters Kitchen. When do you think he'll post an ATS 25 review? Please don't tempt me to spend any more money. I will post it at the latest Friday, because I still have a few things I'm going to test out on it. But Friday at the latest. I can quickly go through it. So you guys have heard that it's sensitive, and let me just unplug the antenna here. So that's the back. The back has a phone jack. You can plug in earphones. It has of course, on-off switch right here. It has a USB-C port for charging and power. It's a BNC antenna. Here's a little switch for long wave, medium wave, short wave. But if you switch it to FM. It's aluminum case. It's metal. This is definitely an Arduino computer running an SI 4732 radio chip, basically. Touchscreen. What I would have to say, it's a little sluggish in response. So, for example, if I want to go bandwidth, I'll just click. It's not too slow, but you need to get used to it, because honestly, it is a little bit slow in response. But once you get used to it, it's actually not bad. The problem is, use big stubby fingers so look at my fingers, which are kind of bigger than average, but not the biggest fingers a guy could have. And look at the button sizes. It just tells you how sometimes you can choose the wrong option because your fingers are too big, a little too chubby. Okay? So a stylus might help a lot. It has FM breakthrough a little bit here. Okay? It comes with this over here. It comes with this telescopic. This is the telescopic that comes with it, with the BNC connector on it. It's surprisingly good with the telescopic, even though there's a little bit of noise from the internal circuit that might break through on telescopic. Honestly, I don't give much of a problem to that, because I know a lot of people, most of the bad rep that I've seen, the bad reviews, is that people think that this thing on a telescopic should work well like a portable. Not realizing, I'm sorry, but this thing is a computer with a radio chip in it. And what do computers do? A lot of noise. So it's shielded somewhat, not enough probably. I was not expecting telescopic performance to be that great. It's surprisingly interesting. For me, the internal noise is less of a problem than the FM breakthrough I do get on shortwave with the strong FM stations here. But apart from that, I mean, on a loop like the MLE30, it's not even a problem anymore. The MLE30 is not sensitive on the FM band, so it doesn't break through with FM here. On the external loop, it works great. Overloading, not too much of a problem. It's interesting because I think somebody didn't understand what AJC was for. So on the bottom here, sorry, it's probably too close. It does say AJC. Problem is, the AJC that you have here is actually an attenuator. It's not an AJC. So I see it here, and I can actually change it. It says attenuator set, so I can actually desensitize the receiver. So there's attenuation available here. So AGC is not AGC. AGC is attenuation. It's a very different thing. I don't know what it is. I'm totally attracted to this thing and love using it. You guys just heard it got Iqaluit. And I mean, I got it in a Texan PL990X. I would have gotten it on the radio. Just to tell you, this thing is sensitive. And it works. The encoder is good. The big button makes it feel even better. I like it. Touchscreen, like I said, a little sluggish, but if you don't really mind too much about that, it's kind of nice. It doesn't have a waterfall or anything. You got to know. Internal rechargeable lithium-ion battery inside, kind of tough to replace unless you are a little tech savvy, like opening up and changing it yourself. But I suspect, because I was looking at the, so if I go next here, there's a seek functionality. It's not an ETM, by the way. It just goes to the next signal and stops. Information, which gives you a very cryptic information menu like this. I was looking at the bottom that says, this is version 2 beta. And that means that this thing is possibly upgradable to something else, which means this might be better in the future because it'll be possible to upgrade it. It's sturdy, it's well made, it doesn't feel cheap, and has decent audio, all the bandwidths you need for, all the different bands. A little awkward is, it's like the bands have been chosen for another, outside North America. So if you go to ham bands, for example, it gives you a menu of all the ham bands. And I'll choose, say, 40 meters here. And I'm on 40 meters. Now, the thing about 40 meters is if I go up, let me put my step here to 5 kilohertz. So I go up, and I'm on 7190. Whoops, sorry. 7190. I go up, 7195. I go up, 7200. I go up, boop, bring down to 7000. It has the ham band programming that is outside of North America. That said, you can just use the key functionality here to have the keypad, because you have keypad entry, and you enter 720. Here we go. And here we go. Now you're outside of the amateur band, and you can still tune. It's just that the presets are made in that way. Of course, you have band presets, would give you FM, long wave, medium wave, and all the international broadcast bands that you can go through. So if you want to go a quick, say, radio event at Cuba 6000, you choose 49 meters. Boop. Here we go. And it actually is on 6000 already. But it's already in, you have the 49 meter band right here that you can tune around. You have your steps that you can choose, 1, 5, 9, and 10 kilohertz, depending on what you're tuning. Honestly, I love this little thing. And when I see reviews, people are kind of poo-pooing it. I am not. I love this little thing. It's fun to play with. And it's going to be one of the radios I'm going to tag along. Battery life. So look, it's 10 p.m. here, 02 UT. I unplugged the power cable at 19 UT today. Okay, 3 p.m. That thing been running for 7 hours now on the battery with full charge. So we're at 7 hours. I think it's not that bad considering that there's a screen, lighting. It's kind of a mini computer. Battery life seems to be interesting. What I will say is this does not replace a good portable. If you're looking for a good radio, rather than this, do buy a Texan PL990 instead. You'll have a great radio that works amazingly well and does the job. And for what it is, it's much better. But you want to have fun with a little something that's just out of the ordinary and kind of cute and cool. This thing is fun. And honestly, I haven't been this happy to get a radio like this since the Texan PL, this Texan H501X. I'm having fun with this. And, somebody on the channel, well, have you seen the noise on that thing? And it's like on my Flex 1500. What are you talking about? You're comparing $100 and some radio with a $1,500 radio, 2000. Please, can we compare things the way they are for the price that this thing is? And I do not think it's overpriced. I think it's priced okay. It works really well. It's well done, and it works. And that's it. So you got kind of a review right now. Honestly, love it. But it's not for everybody, and it's not there to replace any standard portables. I don't think it's for everybody. It's for specific people that are very, different than us. That definitely is the thing. Okay. Tan Chong Wang, just a Singaporean that never knew about shortwave radio until this year. Grew up with knowing only FM. Got a DGen D11, D13 this year. Real antenna is on its way. Thinking of Texan 330 or 310E. Take the 330. 330 is going to be a great radio, and you're going to have a lot of stuff to listen to, especially in Singapore. I can tell you that. David McCormick, Mrs. Grove Enterprises. Bobby Burgess, tech question. Do you really think that the taskbar buttons in the center in Windows 11, do you think it brings the center of attention to Windows 11? They put it there mostly because most modern mobile systems, operating systems, all have the buttons in the middle now. And I think that's the first thing that they thought of. I like it. I kept it like that. I found it nice. But there's way more other things that, there's more to just that in Windows 11, honestly. Zen Pharaoh, looked at that before. It's pricey, but good report makes it worth it. Kimberly, K6YYL in California. Hello there. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Dimitri Gilles on 3810 ham talking across the state. Yep. Lots of stuff on 80 meter band. One of the more local bands. James, 9490 in Connecticut. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Greg Walker, am I going to review the Belka? Yeah, maybe that could be the next purchase. Get a Belka. That could be interesting. Steve, I bought mine from Scanner Masters in the US. Had to get my own 12-volt DC power supply as a chip with 120 volt adapter. Oh, yeah. It's different in the US, in Australia and the US. That's something you got to know. John Beckham, I like the meter band selection on the ATS 25 along with the AJC. Lots of nice features. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It is cool. It does have RDS. Does have RDS on FM. Absolutely. David McCormick, man hands. I like that one, and I like the one, David McCormick, if you've seen Seinfeld. I like the one, the girl that he brings in, when she's in darkness, it looks right, but when she's in the light, she looks super ugly, and everybody's like, oh, God, what the hell is that? that one also is a funny one. It's like he always wants to be in a place with low light. But the one with mine hands is pretty good. Pretty good. Especially when that scene when it's like, oh, you've got something here. And it's like that big chubby finger going on his face. Oh man. Bubbles keeps getting Ionoson. Well, they're pretty much everywhere, I gotta say. Yeah, there is some noise on the M band. I gotta say. But I'm gonna try it again. But it's a fun thing to play with, honestly. Man. Man Max, darn YouTube notifications not working. That's pretty much the number one complaint I think about YouTube. Oh God. Yeah, the ATS-25 will probably be upgradable to some other software and make it even better and add modifications to it. I can tell you that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I think is going to be possible. Rich 8424 CW from SVO Olympia Radio in Greece, Morse code station. Bubbles has 9490 Radio Republica, which is a Cuban. It's actually a station for Cuba and for Cubans, broadcast from France. John Beckham says, what I find appealing with the ATS-25 is that it is very attractive and colorful regarding its various displays. I got to say, I'm the same here. It's like, oh, look at that colors. I want it. Is it good? I don't care. It's beautiful. Not always the right way to choose a radio, but in this case, it's not just beautiful. It's actually surprising. So kind of cool. John Beckham, ATS-25 actually looks and feels like a state-of-the-art modern shortwave receiver. Yeah, it's surprising. I gotta say, I would not sell it as this is what you need to get yet. But maybe some actual future version, I'm going to be like, this is the best thing to get right now as a radio, I have to say. Solitary radio listener, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois, WA9211 SWL. David McCormick, ATS radios are about having fun, nothing serious. If you want a good portable, get a Texan. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have right now. That's pretty much what I have right now as a comment on these things. VA2 EIV Robert, salut, j'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here. Sebastien Carré, how far CB radio signals travel? It depends. In general, they're kind of line of sight. So in general, they're, a couple of miles. A little more if you have a good antenna and a good, if you're well set up. But single sideband CB, when conditions are right and if you have a good antenna, can actually skip and do thousands of miles. It's really, really surprising. Rich 8416 USB Navtex. Nice the code. From where? Where is that one? Is that the Argentina one? Because there's different stations on 8416. 8416. At this time, it has to be. What time are we? There's a Boston. We're at 0200, and you're at 0200. So probably the Boston, Massachusetts one, which was on at 03 in 50 minutes. Rich, if you want to try it, you should get L2C Buenos Aires Navtex with maritime weather broadcasting warnings for Antarctica seas and stuff like that with, icebergs and everything. And at 0330, in like an hour and a half from now, Iqaluit might be there with its own broadcast from Iqaluit. So if you want to kind of have fun with Navtex tonight, try that out. I think I'm going to do that after the show ends. Solitary radio listener, does anyone know if cell towers can cause interference on shortwave bands? You know what? There's 3 big cell towers here. One at the end of the street, one at the other end of the street on the other corner, and one a little further away, but not that far. I've never, ever found that any of those cell towers created anything on shortwave. And even on scanner radios, you know, most cell towers are very high in frequency. They're in the, 1900 megahertz range, 1.9 gigahertz, and if not higher. I've never witnessed any interference that I could identify as being caused by cell towers. John Beckham would buy an ATS 25 without any hesitation. Man. Robert Paul, if I buy a PL990, how many external antennas should I get? Actually, just the telescopic on the radio is already very, very impressive. You don't necessarily need an external antenna. And if you do, just, often a long wire is enough. If not, an MLA30 type, antenna loop might do a great job. The export, what's Connicom saying about the D-Lite GP7, and from what you know, how different it will be from the Texan 368? The GP7 is stuck at customs. From what I know at the last time, it came to port, but it's kind of stuck there, and apparently there's all sorts of delays. One is due to the fact that there's a problem with people working at the port, so not enough employees. So things are slowed down. So all of that together is delaying the fact that they'll get the radios. How different it is from the Texan 368? Not really sure, except that there was talk about maybe a sturdier antenna than the one that's from 368. And they were hoping for a few other features that the original 368 doesn't have. We'll see when we get it, honestly, because for them it was like, hopefully it will make it. But anyways, I'm supposed to get one as soon as they can send one. And Phillips, nice to have you here. Kamaxi 76, Microsoft has released Windows 11. It's official. It was released yesterday. It was yesterday, October 5th. So you can have it right now. It is released. As long as you have compatibles. David, man hands. Man hands, it's like those big chubby fingers. Can you guys see something with my fingers? I understood I had bigger hands than you. Like, I don't have big hands. I mean, I still remember, we compare stuff sometimes. We're guys. And, I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a small guy either. And it's funny because I remember working with a guy and he couldn't do something. I don't remember what. And I thought, well, just use your hands. And then when I actually put my hand next to him, I was like, wow, you got really small hands. And he was kind of frustrated that I said that. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. But it's like, his hands was half mine. And it was like, well, you got really small hands. Wow. I thought I had small hands, but now I'm reevaluating what small hands all about. But I still remember in a bar, I had met one of the Montreal Canadiens team hockey player. And when he actually shook my hand, it was like, wow, I got tiny hands. That guy has like huge, powerful hands compared to my hands. It was just like, okay, that was okay. I got small hands, but it's just funny how we sometimes compare each other and not realize about different things. What else is there? Oh, man, hands of the lobster. Yeah, I remember that. Paul, is there a vid covering the memory function in 501x yet? If not, can you cover that sometime? Can the memories be annotated with any info? Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna definitely do. You know what? I know that you guys want to have very hands-on um, coverage of the radios and how to use it, and I am going to cover that. I'm going to try to focus more on it and have these coming soon, Paul. John Beckham, the ATS 25 is definitely made for its beautiful ambience at night. Yes, imagine, you're in your bedroom trying to sleep. You can't sleep. Turn around. You got that ATS 25 display in front of you. It's like kind of nice. Darren Rogers, what do you need to decode Navtex? FLDG, if you have a PC or a computer, whether it's running Linux or Windows or Mac, Fox, Lima, Delta, India, Gulf, India, FLDG. If you do not, Navtex can be decoded on Android devices and iOS devices with some software. They're not free. They work well. On Android, Droid Navtex works well. I know that on iOS, Black Cat Systems, I believe, has a Navtex decode app. And you don't even need to have a cable or to hook up. As long as it's quiet, just a microphone is going to pick up the sound of the Navtex transmission, and it's actually going to work well. Yeah, I like Windows 11. There's a lot of things that's maybe shipped too soon, but everything's working. I'm streaming on Windows 11 there on Dev Channel because I'm an insider there. This thing is running the official version of Windows 11. Got no problem here. It's just that, yeah. Do you need it? No. And if you got a Windows 10, it's fine. You shouldn't. Why do you need it? For no reason. Windows 10 is fine. How does that Crafter's Kitchen? Thanks for pointing out the whip included with the ATS 25, a starter antenna at best. I would think it would be great on the MLA 30. Yeah, it does. It works pretty good on the MLA 30. Rich in Atlanta is 8431, which is TAH, which is the Istanbul, Turkey CW maritime marker. Christian Marcoux, fais attention à toi. See you soon. Maybe Saturday. Steve has Australian coast weather on 12365. I've never heard that. Let me check if I can use an SDR in Australia or something and hear it. These things we never hear in North America. So let me, I don't know. Let's check out this one. Can this one get it? So I'm using an Australian SDR. Australian SDR. So the frequency is 12365. 12365. Not getting anything here. I don't know if it's still there. Let's try another one. Sometimes you're going to try a few SDRs to have success. Let's try this one from Western Australia. And 12365, enter. Not really hearing anything here. So I don't know if I'm choosing the wrong SDRs or it's just off. But what else do we have? Yeah, it happens, Barry, that we're tired. What else do we have? What else do we have? Kimberly, CB skip memory, 1980. On my dad's CB, I made a very, very brief contact with another CB here in Sydney, Australia, from here in Southern California. Wow, pretty cool. Cool. Yeah, 6105 NHK from France is usually very, very good. Extremely, extremely strong here. I believe they are using the full 500 kilowatts on that one. John Beckham, actually, my TV remote control emits signal sound over my shortwave radio. Yeah, I've had that too. The internal circuit, when you press and you hear like this, because when you press a button for the remote control and hold it, it sends bursts, and you hear the bursts on shortwave. I've had that on some radios sometimes with different remote controls. I've had that happen, definitely. Glide Rider. Most, if not all, of those dib rigs don't come with a ferret bar antenna for radio. No, they don't. The DSP rigs, no. There's no ferrite in there. You will receive long wave, medium wave with the external antenna. So that's why a good external antenna is good. They do not have ferrites. And one of the reasons they don't have ferrites is that the internal noise is probably too high for that to happen, first of all. So, dear radio listener, when was the NAVTEX broadcast tonight? I was out of the room, missed it, 3:30 or something. Oh, I was talking about the 8416 kilohertz. Actually, 8415 kilohertz upper sideband, or 8415.5 to have the proper tone. You'll have L2C Buenos Aires radio in Spanish with marine broadcast. That one comes in pretty much always here. It's surprising how good it comes in to Montreal. So it should make it to most of North America. And at 0330, you might have the VFF Iqaluit station that we had earlier, but NAVTEX. But that one is more of a difficult one to get. It depends on propagation. And at this time of year, October, I'm not sure it's going to come in. I'm going to have to try it tonight. Sebastien Acari loves the show. Cool. John Beckham, I saw on your review from yesterday on the ATS 25 that on occasion it picked up some sound oscillation over a medium wave band. It has internal noise on medium wave. It does seem to have internal noise there. You've not heard the story of my becoming interested in shortwave radio. Okay, here it is. My story is that it goes far back. So my first radio I've ever had, and please don't laugh, is my sister at, I don't know, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and my sister gave me I drank all the bottle. It's just 7%, so it's not too bad. It's not like a wine bottle, but drank all the bottle. So okay. 7 or 8 years old, I had a given as a gift from my sister a Ernie in the Bathtub AM radio. You know, Sesame Street, Ernie and Bert. So it was Ernie in the Bathtub's AM radio, and I still remember it today. I still remember when the 9-volt clip broke, and I would put the two wires directly on the battery, shove the battery inside the compartment, and put the thing in, put the compartment cover, and make sure that the contact would hold. At 7 or 8 years old, so I was already there. Um, Later on, around I'd say around the age of 12, it's hard to say what time period it was. We had here in Canada, we had a chain of stores called Consumer Distributing, which was a very weird way of getting stuff. So what happened in that store is that you would go in front of the store. They were catalogs, and you had little papers and crayons. And in the catalog, you would check what you want, write the number of the item and the little paper, and put the little paper. I don't remember if you gave it to someone or you put it in the box or something. And then you would wait. It was a counter, and you would be waiting for them to call your name, because you put your name and you put the item number and wait for them to call your name. And what was sad of the Consumer Distributing is that half of the times they would call your name and say, "Oh, we're sorry, we're out of stock," which was devastating. You know, you wanted to have something so bad. I remember stuff that I wanted sometimes, and they would say, "Oh, sorry, we don't have it." I was like, "Oh, come on, I want that." Anyways, I went with my dad. I remember my dad wanted to have one of those multi-band receivers. I don't remember the brand, honestly. It's one of those that you have that little flip up that has a world map on it, and it had VHF. I remember it had VHF airband, AM, FM, and SW. What I didn't know what shortwave was, so I remember it had SW1, SW2. I played with that, and I heard airplanes. That was the first amazement for me. It's like, yeah, I hear the airplanes. Wow. And all my friends were saying, like, we can't hear airplanes on the radio like this. And I would just like go on the frequency. It's like, look at that, Air Canada 316. It's like, oh, you're hearing airplanes. Yeah, I am. This is serious stuff. But shortwave wasn't really, it was weird. There were some noises and Morse code and whatever. And it was like, but this is weird. The real interest in radio for me started. Well, that started because it was weird, and I was wondering what that radio was all about. But obviously, it wasn't very good on shortwave because I don't remember, except tuning the BBC once. I don't remember tuning much. So shortwave was probably very crappy on that. And then one day, I had the occasion to get a radio. I remember seeing the Realistic DX100 that I still have here, and that was actually on the live show a few weeks ago. And I remember wanting that radio so bad because I thought it looked cool. And on the box, it would say, like, "Listen to the world." And it was like, oh, this looks so much fun. I saved money from, like, taking out the garbage and whatever. And I remember it was about $100 back then. And I remember my dad one day came up to me and said, "How much you got?" I said, "Well, I got about $50. And he had a raise that day. I still remember he had a big raise. And he said, "How about you got it now?" I said, "What? I'm going to give you the other $50. Go get it." It's like, okay. And I remember going to Radio Shack. First time in my life that I had $100 on me. For me, it was like $1 million. It was like, oh God, someone's going to he's going to kidnap me. Got $100 on me. It's like, yeah, okay. So, anyways, I went to get the radio, got back home, put that thing on the table, started listening, read the manual 150 times, and I was hooked. First night, got, you know, I remember for the first night, I remember a couple of stations, maybe like Call Israel. I remember Radio Moscow, HCJB, um, a few stations like that. I mean, there were so many things back then that you just tune and there was tons of things to listen to. That's where it's really, really started my passion in radio. For starting there, I was hooked. I started QSLing, writing stations like crazy, and that passion was like heavy. The next step was, okay, this thing doesn't tune precisely. I never know where I am. Uh, I was looking at all the radios with digital displays. I need a radio with a digital display. I need to know where I'm tuned. We went to a flea market maybe a year and a half later, and a guy was selling a realistic or Radio Shack DX302 for, I think it was $100. My dad said, when you talk about frequency display, is that what you're talking about? I said, yeah. He says, okay. He says, how about you don't get your allowance for a few weeks, and in exchange, we come home tonight with this thing. I was like, well, of course, I was like jumping up and down. I would have been the poorest guy in the world, but I had that radio. And it funny because he said that, then I got a radio, and it was like next week it's like gives me my allowance for taking out the trash, and I said, was I supposed to not have my allowance? It says, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. That allowance for me was important. For what? I was spending all of it in sending letters to stations. I would go buy stamps and envelopes and ride to stations. So my allowance was kind of as important as the radio, because it was like, well, this is what it's the money I spent on riding to stations around the world. And I was so happy. I had finally had more precision, listen to shortwave. I could just go to a frequency. It's like, I hear it, I don't hear it, I know now. I don't, spend half an hour trying to know if I hear it because I don't know where I'm tuning exactly, and so on. And the Radio Shack DX302 was my main radio for many years. In '89, I actually had my first full-time job ever, which was crazy low pay job where minimum wage. I remember my first paycheck, which was $178 for a week for 40 hours. $178. I was like, yeah, cheap labor. And it was minimum wage job. And but anyways, I was not spending, I was not going out, I was not doing anything. I was that, guy that just, listens to the radio. What else is there to do in the world? I listen to my radio when I go back home. And my brother, because I started, being in clubs, and the Club on Côte Québec, which was a club in Quebec, probably CIDX, kind of the first dabble in CIDX, Canadian International DX Club, and reading on magazines and stuff, and seeing one radio that made me drool crazy, which was a Kenwood R5000. I then discovered a store downtown Montreal, which was Radio Lorenz. And little did I know, because at that time, I had no idea who Sheldon Harvey was. But I went to the store. There were books everywhere on shortwave, which was amazing. There was tons of books to buy about utility signals and, the confidential frequency list, for those that remember those two books. Klingenfuss, which was also available back then, still available today, by the way, for utilities. And monitoring times and popular communications and all sorts of stuff like that. That was the radio Evan suddenly. It's like, oh man, I'm going to spend my paycheck with books, but drooling over because they had the Kenwood R5000 in that store. And I was drooling over it all the time. Every time I would go there, I would buy a couple of books, drool on the counter with the Kenwood R5000 in front of me, thinking someday I'll have that thing. About a year went by, around 1990. My brother, which heard me, because my brother was like, "Oh, you're listening to that noise all over again." But I had shown him the radio, and he actually had a Kenwood hi-fi system. So Kenwood, he knew the Kenwood name, and he remembered R5000 because I'd shown him so many times. So one day he calls me up and says, "So the Kenwood R5000 stock was 1,000. I still remember the price, 1,350 Canadian dollars in 1990. But you had to add the AM filter, so it added to the price of like maybe $150. So you were with a radio that was $1,500. So my brother calls me up one day and says, I was looking at the newspaper classified ads. There's a guy not very far from us that is actually selling a Kenwood R5000 for $900. And I said, really? He said, yeah. And said, okay. So I kind of, I remember I went to my mom and I said, could I kind of borrow $1,000 and I would give you that by $100 a month for 10 months? And my mom looked at me and said, okay, no problem, as long as you pay it back. I said, yeah, I'm going to pay it back, $100 a month for the next month. So I had $1,000 in my pocket. I called my brother and said, okay, let's go. I'm going to go together. And I saw the radio. Radio was 6 months old. He had the receipt. He had bought it at Radio Lorenz. And the radio was only 6 months old. The guy, when he purchased it, didn't know what he was buying. He looked at me and said, this thing, I plugged it in, used it for 2 hours, put it back in the box, never used it again. And I totally believed him. It was perfect condition, not even a little bit of dust. It's okay. And he comes to me and he says, I even have this thing. And he shows me a box. It's the AM filter. It's not even installed. He says, look, I got this. I bought it because the guy told me that this would be needed. I don't know why. So in reality, it was $1,500 radio. It was only 6 months old. I bluffed a little bit. I was 21 years old. You want to save money, and especially a minimum wage pay. It's a lot of money, So I told the guy, I said, so you're asking 900? He says, yeah, it's a good price. I said, look, I've got 800 in my wallet. If you're willing to let it go for 800, I'm buying it now. Of course, I tried it and everything, made sure it works. And the guy looked at me and says, okay, 800. And that night I got home with a Kenwood R5000, which was so amazing. And it's funny because that weekend, one of my uncles came over. He was a TV repair guy. And so I had played with the Kenwood a little bit, but I had noticed the AM filter was wide and needed to be changed. So I knew why that filter was required. So he comes, I show him the radio and says, wow, this is a beautiful radio and everything. And I say, yeah, I got to install the filter. And he looks at me and says, well, let's do it now. And I said, what do you mean? So let's open the radio. If you need help, I'm here. I'm a TV repair guy. I can help you with, whatever you need. So we opened the cover of the radio. We looked inside and everything. And, he had the experience. He was like, Here, it goes here. We got to remove that one, put this one in. It's like, oh, okay. And 10 minutes later, we had the filter installed and everything. That'd been my main radio for a long time. The Kenwood R5000 was my main receiver from 1990 all the way up to about 2008-ish. At the end, it developed the dreaded problems that a lot of Kenwood R5000 receivers have, which is the dots display. Why? Because the wax that is on the circuit board kind of mixes in with the humidity, and it creates some kind of a compound that breaks down the components of the motherboard or the board of the radio. And what happens is that the PLL, the phase lock loop, which is supposed to be checking the precision of your frequency, because of faulty parts and humidity, couldn't actually lock anymore. So the frequency, the radio had no idea where it was tuned. It's as simple as that. So it displayed dots. I had seen that if I turned on the radio and let it on for an hour, it would actually come back. And at some point, I let it on 24 hours a day. It was always on. I just put the volume at 0. And in 2008-ish, we had a power outage. That radio had been on 24 hours a day for maybe 2 years. But now the power outage, I was like, oh man, it's going to take an hour or two before it comes back. Nope. It had degraded to a point where the power outage meant it didn't come back at all. I left it, I think, 2 days in a row, plugged in, open, still dots. It would not come back anymore. By coincidence, I had a shiny new credit card back then. And so I thought, what do I do? I had started contacting people to fix it. And at the same time, I had the Icom ICRD 500, which is right here behind this laptop, that I was looking at because I wanted something that was decent on shortwave, but also very good on VHF, UHF, better than a regular scanner radio. So the 8500 was kind of something that I found interesting. So I thought, okay, went online. Radio Roll in Toronto had the, by chance. Everything is by chance. Usually they would sell this for $2,100. That day I looked, and it's Icom sale, $1,750, shipping included in Canada. I was like, okay, that's kind of a nice price. And of course, I got the shiny new credit card in front of your face, and it's like, okay, let's go for it. I just purchased it and was happy with it and everything, and really loved the radio. It's a neat radio. It's a nice radio. Shortwave wise, I had seen that it doesn't perform as well as the Kenwood R5000 at its peak, but it was still decent enough that, yeah, it's okay. And I had a VHF UHF receiver, which I loved at the same time. So, long story. I'm sorry. I know. But it came up to there. And then, of course, SDRs and portables and the YouTube channel and so much stuff suddenly changed my life. So that's the story for those that didn't have it. That's the story. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, monitoring times. You can get all of those, by the way, online if you want to see monitoring times. World Radio History website. You have monitoring every monitoring times in PDF, every popular communications, and thousands and thousands of magazines from even the past. It's really worth getting there, even electronic stuff. So Ah, man. Do I prefer Chrome OS over Windows? I'm a Windows guy because of what Windows brings and all the capabilities. But my entry level to Chrome OS and Chromebooks, kind of like it. Really like it because this thing is not very expensive. Has, and I'm not joking, more than 10 hours of battery life. And so for a surfing device, something that's online, I go to this all the time. The Chromebook is my favorite. I need a laptop that does online stuff for a long time on battery without being plugged in. Chromebook number one. But I'm still a big fan of Windows because of all the possibilities and the capabilities the things you can do in Windows, which it's not, you can't compare it in terms of operating system. They're not the same thing. A Chromebook is more of a surfing device online. But for the average person, it's an easy device. Even restarting your Chromebook is easy. When you go and restart your Chromebook from the settings, it's not like Windows. It's like super easy. Everything is wiped out. You start from scratch. It works. But you got to think about it as an online browser that you have in a computer, and that's the only thing you'll do, or roughly, it does have the Android store and stuff. So I do have the Kiwi app here for the SDRs, which I love. So it's a very interesting device, I have to say. But I am a Windows guy for all the other possibilities that you can do with it. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Maurice Navy, nice to have you here from Florida. How is Paul and his girlfriend going? I'm thinking about getting another kitten. Oh, they're going well. Look at that. I'm going to show you a funny picture. Because I call... so Paul, so this is a new chair that I've got here since yesterday, which is a very nice leather chair that I love. So, of course, one of the first things that happened is that once I got my leather chair, is this there? Oh, I didn't take on this one. I'm going to take on the other one. So let me just, I think it's this one that I took the picture with. So the first thing that Paul the cat did today was I put the hoodie on the other chair. And of course, Paul the cat immediately went on the chair with the hoodie. And, it's getting cooler in the nights now. So his girlfriend is actually coming over and sleeping on the couch. So this is what it was looking like last night. She was sleeping on the couch like this. And it's funny because I said, well, it's October, it's Halloween month, and I have a vampire cat. Her two teeth are like showing up really, really well. It's like, I got a vampire cat now. And of course, when you have a cat that comes in and has her claws everywhere, what happens to my couch? So I found this one and I called it, yep, I'm the one that did that. So you can see my couch is being totally massacred by the cat. So, anyways, it's an old couch. So it's like, yeah, okay, just do what you want. Massacre it. I'll change it someday. But when I get any new ones, they're going to be different. So that's what's happening with the cats here. Oh, boy. Strange not picking up Radio Havana Cuba. A few days. Let me just check 6,000 here. It happened a few times. So they're off tonight. It happened a few times in the last week where they were not on the air in the evening. I don't know if something's happening with that with Radio Havana Cuba, but the 6,000 kilohertz frequency has been off the air quite a lot in the past week. Hey, Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. So let's try now to get back.
Sebastianica, I forget my ignorance. Is there a way to boost a weaker far away signal coming in while reducing the strong nearby signal? You mean when two stations are really close together, stuff like that? It's really filters, having bandwidth filters, and of course having a good antenna also. But it depends exactly what you mean by that. So 6165, but no signal on 6000. Yeah, 6000 has not been reliable in the last week. 6165. Let's check it out here. Yeah, 6165. Yeah, it's not really good, but 6165 is there. But 6000 is totally and for the past week, it's 9700. Let's try that. 9700. It's here. Nothing here on 9700. So Radio Havana, Cuba. On the AM band. Remember the AM band, yet you can actually null out stations because you can actually turn the radio because the internal ferrite is very directional. What else do we have? Joe Michaels, nice to have you here. Take care, Paul. Stay safe. Yep, that's 6 a.m. alarm does come quite fast. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Candle. I remember that brand, David. The worst brand that you can have anything. That multiband radio could have been a Candle, and I would not even be surprised. I can tell you that. Solidarity Radio listener, I'm going to unhook some things in my shack and move it around a little tomorrow. Yeah, having a convenient shack. Kimberly, we had a store like that called Best. They had a conveyor belt coming down from the ceiling where they had the upper level with the items. It was fun watching orders on the conveyor belt. John Beckham, Radio Shack was a very unique retail outlet, especially with the Battery of the Month card. Yeah, because they had us with that. The Battery of the Month card was a way to get all of us geeks getting our batteries and drooling over everything in the store. So what did we do? We rarely went there and just got our batteries. We went there to get our batteries and had a bit of cash in us, and we would buy some other crappy thing, some other thing from the store. Cyber Ghosts, when charging a H501, doesn't matter which battery selected or both of them are charged. You have to the battery that charges is the one you select. So if you have the two batteries to be charged, you'll charge one. Once it's fully charged, you'll switch to the other one and wait until the other one's fully charged. They don't both charge at the same time. It charges only one at a time. Mad Max, first computer, Commodore 64. First piece, DOS PC was Zenith Data System 286. Wow. My first computer was a VIC-20. Boy, I love that. Then a Commodore 128 that I still have here. There's an Atari 1040 ST here. There's an Amiga 500 there. I'm going to install all of that. Oh, I you know what, Glide Rider? A few months ago, there was a guy that was using his Commodore 64 doing RTTY on the 20 meter band. That's what he was using with the PK232 He was using that. He said, my RTTY, and I don't know what other mode he talked about. My RTTY is PK232 on a Commodore 64 that works fine, and that's what I use. It was like, wow, this is so cool. Oh, man. Yeah, here it's still called Circuit City in Canada, by the way. Radio Shack in Canada is Circuit City. It's still called that. William Moser, nice to have you here. I think for a lot of us, Radio Shack was the first place we ever purchased our first shortwave radio. I mean, the amount of people that, even here when we have stories of all of us, it's obvious Radio Shack was the place where most of us, a big chunk of us, purchased our first radio. Where? Radio Shack. It was a place. It was a place to go. Because, like Log 2112, only other company who did shortwave equipment as Radio Shack was Grove Electronics. But Radio Shack had one thing that no other store had. The chain of stores. They had thousands of outlets everywhere. You had a Radio Shack in every place you can imagine. Even a small town had a Radio Shack. They were everywhere. That's why a lot of us had that at purchase our first radios there. Steve, my R5000 had the same issue with the dots, and also the key bounce was annoying. John Beckham, Realistic was Radio Shack's house brand for the stereo receivers. Does anyone remember the quad receivers? Man. Today's stores are boring. For a guy that, and I'm pretty sure all of you feel the same. For all of us that were born with Radio Shack, I mean, a Best Buy is the most boring store you can go to. It's like, yeah, so big screen TV, okay, computers, washer, dryer, yeah, okay, sound system, yeah, okay. Anything else? Phones? It's like, it's so boring today. Radio Shack was unique, and these stores were very unique with what we wanted, John Beckham, Radio Shack DX160, I believe, was one of their more popular shortwave. Yeah, a lot of people started off with that model. Absolutely. Doug Noble, has anyone heard Radio Ulaanbaatar? Well, today it's called Voice of Mongolia, but Ulaanbaatar, yes, it was heard from Mongolia. I have a QSL card from the 90s. I haven't heard Voice of Mongolia in a long time, but today it's not called Ulaanbaatar. It's Voice of Mongolia today, but it's still on shortwave, but it's a tough catch. Tuberock Tim, last thing I bought at Radio Shack was a Grundig S350. Yeah. When it was still Radio Shack, I don't remember what was the last thing I purchased. But I purchased a Grundig S350, but I believe it was Circuit City when I did. Rob, I agree. Windows Work is great for designing 3D applications I use, but just to serve the web, a Chromebook may work better. Yeah, just to surf, just to be online. A Chromebook is perfect, honestly, and it's simple, nothing complicated. It just works, and amazing battery life. I mean, this one I didn't even pay $300 for this one. It's like, there's somebody that came over the other day, looked at this, and said, "Oh, you finally bought a MacBook." No, it's not a MacBook. It's a Chromebook. It has the same look as your MacBook that's cost $2,000, but it's a $300 Chromebook that is as beautiful when you look at it. Keegan, my Sangean HDR 14 HD radio came from Radio Shack in November 2020. Oh, man. Hey, Dr. Sisop. John says, I'm glad that Paul's girlfriend is not comfortable to come in your house. Yeah, she's pretty comfortable. Pretty comfortable. David, KJ4CMY says, it has been a great tonight. Heard the whole program, but my eyelids are telling me it's time to say goodnight. Take care, David. Always nice to have you on board, okay? Yeah, the price of having cats, I gotta say. What else do we have? John Beckham, we need to send me the QSL card for Radio Vanny on 6000 so they don't permanently take the transmitter down. Yeah. Oh, man. John Beckham, I'm a student in rescuing lost and stray cats. Cool. That is nice. That is nice. Oh, man. Joe Tyson hooked up his Counter 64 last week. And Amiga 500. Wow. Sheldon Harvey, first real shortwave radio was the Derealistic DX160 from Radio Shack. Yeah. And I think for most people, that was it, honestly. Tom, if you want to review another loop amplifier, I have a cross-country wireless CCW Plus you're welcome to have for free. I just need the contact info so I can send it to you. Okay, Tom, send me an email at official shortwave radio at gmail.com. I put here. And I'll send you, and I'll give you my address and everything. I would be happy to test it out and talk about it. Thanks for the offer, Tom. Just send me an email, officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. Kimberly says, the building I used to be a Radio Shack. I bought my shortwave and scanner radio in Ezra still has fairly large vertical antenna on the roof. Wonder if it still works after 30 more years. The problem with Radio Shack is, on some things is when people bought radios, I still remember Radio Shack. So, we're in 1992, 3-ish. And there's the Grundig Yadboy 400. And they are selling that. And I purchased one. And at that time, they had the fantastic idea of having the passport to world band radio. But people buying the radios didn't know what to do. I remember going to the Radio Shack store to look at stuff. I was buying something and I hear the guy to the next counter. The guy purchased a Yadboy 400 and says, I don't hear anything on this. It's not working. It's broken. And I interrupted the conversation because I looked at them and I said, okay, do you know what frequencies and what, you can't just turn it on and expect something. It's a little more complex and a little more work than that. And I actually had offered the guy, if you want to hear stuff, I'm going to help you hear stations from Europe, from all over the world. So we're in 1992-ish. There's still a lot of stuff to listen to. And I told the guy, I'm going to give you my phone number and everything. That radio, I'm sure it works. It's just that you're not. And so they're talking, and at some point, I'm like, look, the Radio Shack that I went to here had a little wire that they had that it would like go in the back store or something. I had seen that when they were trying stuff. I said, "Do you still have that wire for the antenna stuff?" And it was late afternoon. I remember I had a few frequencies in mind that, we can punch in a few things. We put the wire on the telescopic, punched in a few frequencies, and there was transmissions in English and French. And I remember saying, "Oh, this is that. This is Radio Cairo. This is whatever." I don't remember what stations we had. And the guy said, "Wow, it works. Yeah, you need to know what to listen to." And I had pointed the book Passport to World Band Radio and said that book will have a lot of information of where to listen and what you can listen to. And he finally took his radio back and said, "Well, I guess it works. I just need to take more time to explore." And he had purchased the Passport, and I gave him my phone number and I said, "Call me back. Call me. We're going to spend an evening. I'll show you what you can listen to." And he had told me explicitly, I don't speak much English. And I said, "Don't worry, call me. I'm going to show you what French language broadcasts are available to North America." So he never called me back. But, and I'm sure he never did really much with it. But, it shows you how it's not always easy to help someone with radio. Sheldon Harvey, last exclusive shortwave radio store in Montreal region was the Radio HF store in Griffin Park, where I purchased quite a few books, I believe. It was open from 95 to 2000. How, I got a question here, Sheldon. So it was from 95 to 2000. I don't know how to bring up the question or how to ask it exactly. Considering your knowledge, how successful did the store work in general for you? Was it satisfying? As no, it wasn't. It was good. Or did you, or maybe because when we do a business, I mean, I was a tech guy. I did a few businesses, so you sometimes overestimate, underestimate, and so on. Was it satisfying as a business when it worked? David McCormick, the first real shortwave radio was a Heathkit build with my dad. It was amazingly fun. That adds another dimension because anything that you build yourself there's not only the magic of the radio, the magic of you having built something that works. That's even more interesting. Rob says, no, it's not a MacBook. Kimberly, my discount antenna I bought from Radio Shack still works, and I have it had it up in the elements for almost 30 years. It worked. That discount the Radio Shack sold was good. I don't know if it's the cold weather, but when I put it up in 1991-ish, it stayed up for a few years and enjoyed a lot of very cold -25 winters. When I moved here, I had to dismantle it. Every time I would try to unscrew an element, it would just snap. So I guess it was kind of done. It was holding together as long as I didn't touch it. But I remember that discount worked well. And the other part of the story, Rob, about it's not a MacBook is I still remember she looked at me. She says, "Oh, it's not a MacBook," and I said, "No, it's a Chromebook." Oh, do you have a MacBook? And I looked at her and I said, "I had a MacBook Pro for about 5 years, and I'll never buy a MacBook ever again and I don't want and don't care about any Apple products. And she just stared like, okay. That's my take on it. And it's not because they're not good or anything. It's a guy like me doesn't like those things. That's all. David McCormick, Radio Shack DX360 was a great update for me. Take care, log 2112. What else do we have? Dwayne says, I had the DX440 realistic. I got an 89 new. It was a killer radio and in killer time for shortwave. Yep. Yep. Take care, Kelly. Always nice to have you here. Stay safe. Shannon Harvey says, if I had to do it all over again, I would not have opened the store. Radio Lorenz was closing, so I thought that Montreal could not go on without a radio store. Okay. So I took the plunge. Unfortunately, consumer loyalty was changing. Many people, including hams, came to the store to look at things, but then turned around and ordered from Radio World to save tax. Yeah. The what I call the cheap customer. It's when people tell me that is equal to when people tell me, well, we buy from China. Yeah, because you people are cheap. Nobody wants to pay the price that it's supposed to be paid for whatever. So don't bash China. Don't say China is the fault for what's happening today. You just are too cheap to want to pay the price that it would be if it made in US or Canada. It's your default, not China. And that I totally understand. That's a tough one. Loyalty to, I think it changed over time. We used to be loyal to maybe a store or maybe but at the same time, and it's stupid when you think about it. Like, for example, ham equipment. You buy a thing that in 1995 would cost 2,000, and it's like, I'm going to buy it from Toronto to save, I don't remember what the taxes were in 95, but they were probably very close to now. So it's like, I'm going to save $300. Yeah, because you don't want to pay the tax or one of the taxes, because you'd pay probably the GST, which was a federal one, but not the province one. So it's even worse. It's like, for $100, I don't want to pay. And you're like, so you go and bother, it's that's something I would not have done because I find it cheap. You go and bother someone that has its own store and you want to save $100, so you're going to buy it somewhere else. You're kind of a cheap dumbass. I'm sorry, but that's my take on it. I didn't have a car, so I would not go to your store simply because I didn't have a car. But if I had a car, and if I would, because I knew your store, you advertised it enough that I knew it existed. I would have, and you were online. You had an online presence a little later. I would have bought radios from there. I find it, it's a tough thing. It's like people go to your store and buy somewhere else because they're going to save $50, and it's like, yeah, you're a cheap dumbass. I'm sorry, but if I owned a store, I would almost say, it's like, oh, you're a cheap dumbass that buys it somewhere else. Thanks for helping me. I would have caught it. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't have a filter on that, and I would probably have said it. When I was a tech guy, I had no filter. When people was like, "Oh, you're so expensive," it's like, yeah, go to hell. I was like, go to hell. Go take that cheap guy that you pay $20. That someday is not going to be there, and don't call me when it's not going to be there. Go to hell. But yeah, and you took it probably, so 1995. You probably took it at a time also that is so the decline had started, and what radio was all about. You were just after the craze of scanner radio, because the scanner radio craze was like from what, mid 80s to about early 90s. That was the peak of the craze of scanner radio, and then suddenly that craze kind of faded out. um Amateur radio was there, but I get it. It's a tough thing, owning a business, selling stuff, and people go buy it somewhere else. You're like, I'm gonna save $50. I'm gonna buy it there. It's like, yeah, okay. Why don't you do it? I mean, So it's crazy. Yeah, too broke Tim. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. People that just didn't know anything about radio. The Radio Shack from the 70s and up to some part of the 80s, there was some knowledge. People knew stuff. Radio Shack, you would go there and people knew stuff. But by the end, the Radio Shack hired whoever they could have as somebody and behind the counter. And they had no clue of any single piece of crap of anything they sold. I was a client, and I was a knowledgeable guy there. I remember I remember once the guy comes up with this part and says, so this is a plug I have. This goes to my TV. I need an adapter for that other thing. The guy has no clue as to what he wants. And I'm like, yeah, what he wants is an RCA to this, to that. And even that is like, a what? Yeah. Like, I look at the guy with his part, is like, come with me. This is what you need. That I know that's what you want. It's like, yeah. So is anybody going to pay me now? Because I know, I should be working here, not you. And it's like, yeah, okay. At the end, Radio Shack was a joke on that. It's like nobody knew. Today, the source. Hey, the source here. They have a few, just a few gadgets and stuff. Don't ask questions. They have no freaking idea, but they're really quick at. Oh, by the way, this smartphone with a 6-month or 24-month contract is only, yeah. Why don't you shove your phone where the sun doesn't shine? Oh God. But that also is a killer of a business. If your business does not know anything. And that's the worst part, Sheldon. You're absolutely right. They come back and ask questions. So I bought this radio somewhere else. Can you help me with it? Yeah, shove it somewhere. I totally understand. That is so frustrating as a business, I can tell you. Take care, Barry. Matt, MDK2 is hard for consumers to maintain loyalty when brands wouldn't maintain loyalty to customers. Radio Shack chasing cell phones and leaving radio geeks behind. Yeah. Yeah. Kimberly, my friend and I are activating parks on the air this weekend. 2YL Ops, K6YYL, and WW0MAN. Oh, I like that. Woman. WW0MAN. This is cool. Dr. Sisop, in the USA, you pay sales tax on internet sales, but not if you get it from outside USA, like Anonco. Yeah, here, It depends who gets the customs. So for example, an Onco, I don't know why I never paid sales tax from an Onco stuff. It seems to be very dependent on how it gets here. It's so weird. Joe Tyson, bravo, Joe, you're right about a misguided hatred about China. It's our fault. Yeah, we're cheap. We don't want to pay for anything. So that's what happens. John Beckham, do you remember the shortwave radio antenna package, which included 50 feet of 18 gauge copper wire, two ceramic? Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. It was that long wire antenna. It was the same. I remember buying it. I bought it once, and it was the same design that you could see in the booklets of their shortwave radios. I do remember that. Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah. 80s and 90s. Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore were the manufacturers of the cheap stuff. Pretty crazy. Yeah, Bill Cheek. I remember that. I had the books. I posted a picture the other day. I found the books from Bill Cheek. Sheldon Harvey, Radio Shack stores had the nerve to sell shortwave radios to clients and tell them to come to Radio HF if they had questions. Really? They did that? Oh, man. Yeah. Buy this here and go to that place. He's going to explain how it works. Oh, God, please. David McCormick, what is long wire antenna? Exactly what you just said. It's a wire outdoors that you plug to your radio. As simple as that. Take care, Tom DXer. Nice to have you on board. Stay safe. When they became mainstream, it was they were dead. What can I sell you? Oh, a TV, a cell phone, and yeah, forget it. So John Beckham says it's my fault, the ETS 25 order. I take full responsibility for any radios you purchase, guys, and that it's my fault that you're spending money. Yeah, Sheldon, I totally understand. I had when I was doing tech guy duties, I had some clients that would actually hire me for when their $20 guy didn't do the job. But when the $20 guy did the job, they wouldn't call me. But sometimes they would call me. It's like, oh, I had my guy come in the other day, and is it normal that my computer does this? And it's like, yeah. So your cheap guy came through, and you're calling me for tech advice. I remember once I just lost it. It's the time I lost it is I fixed the computer, installed a new router. On paper, I write down the name of the network and the password they have to use. About a year later, she has another tech guy that costs half my price, and she says, yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, last year installed a router. I have a tech guy here because it's like he's less expensive than you, and we need to know what's the password of the router. And in French, of course, but I said, shove the router in your ass is the password. I know it's not nice, but it was like, you got a guy half the price, and you want me, because you lost the damn paper, to give you the password. You're lucky I didn't use the F word on you. Oh, God. So, business. That's business. I'm so happy to not be there anymore. So, David McCormick still has a long wire antenna kit package from a Radio Shack. Wow. Wow. Navid, is it possible to jam the whole mobile and radio communication by jamming the whole radio spectrum? Not really. Actually, we do have something that's called radio frequency interference right now that's pretty much doing all of it. But jamming the whole frequency spectrum is a task that's kind of a little difficult to accomplish, honestly. Kimberly, my radio fate must have been predetermined. My husband worked at Radio Shack when he was in high school. I didn't know him, but but funny to think about my connection at Radio Shack. Yeah, it is funny. Keegan got the AJR 14 in November 2020 after watching my review. David says ATS 25 is not on my radar. My fault. That's my fault. Kimberly says I met my husband on the CB. Oh, wow. That's very radio connected couple. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. Oh, man. Hey, Nick. Nice to have you here. K9XN. Sean Harvey says a Radio Shack near me sold a guy from the Philippines a grunting portable. Told him he would be able to hear the Philippines on the radio. He found my store. Oh, God. God. Sean Harvey says, I told him you will not hear the Philippines, told him to take the radio back, get his money back. And I sold him a Sony and told him how to hear stations like BBC's Service for Asia. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't know anything. It's like, I come from, whatever country. I come from Sri Lanka. Can I hear my country? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. That was like, crazy. But there was a lot like that back then, unfortunately. But the problem is that stores like you had a hard time because of that. And, and those big chains were just like, Kimberly says my Wi-Fi network should be named Let's Go, Brandon. A couple of years back, my Wi-Fi network was called Potato, and I meet one of my neighbors who has a computer and says, "Have you seen somebody's networks called Potato?" I said, "Yeah, it's mine." She says, "Oh, really?" "Yeah, because I have a PC that says connecting to a," and I thought it was funny because now it's like connecting to a potato. It was like, okay, well, that's kind of funny. It's like, yeah, it's just, my humor. John Becker, Michelle, I was very fortunate to build Crystal Radio back when I was a young boy, which ultimately led me to the hobby of shortwave. That's cool. That is cool. Dave, my sister met her hubby on the CB as well. Wow, CB was the connection thing. Just so funny. So there's a lot of CB couples out there. I wonder how they turned out, most of them. It's just funny. Sheldon says, when I placed my first order for Sony for shortwave radios to sell at the store, my sales rep came to the store and asked me to show him how they worked. Yeah, nobody knew how these things worked. Even in the 80s, when still shortwave was still something, I think most people had no clue that how they worked and what to do with them. It's crazy. And it's not like, in the 80s, it's not like it's some weird, unusual hobby, even though it is a little bit. It's still popular enough that you're like, doesn't anybody know how this works? John Hummel Newell, VE5JHM. Nice to have you here. We had a Wi Fi network called the Mothership. I like that, the Mothership. I have a neighbor. Oh, man. Can I see his name right now? I have a neighbor that has an excellent name um, for his network. Let me check if I can actually just see it. Oh, man. It is. So, manage networks. Oh, man. I need to manage networks. What is the name? Every time I see the name and I'm like, oh, man. Oh, man. Can I see it here? I have to check it out. The name is absolutely fantastic. When I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, God. So it's scanning here. Oh, Martin Luther King. The guy has his network called Martin Luther King. And every time I see it, it was like, okay, that's unusual and interesting as a name. Martin Luther King. I like that. So Kimberly says that they haven't killed each other in 31 years, which means CB radio couples are probably not bad. 123 ABC. What product do you recommend for transmitting Bluetooth music to FM radio? You know what? That much. So I don't know exactly what to say as to what device you should be using to transmit from Bluetooth to FM radio. Sheldon Harvey, Sony sales rep, and never seen the radios that he was supposed to be selling. Oh, that's nice. Not knowing what you have out there. That's good. Yeah, I sell stuff that I have no idea what they are and never seen before. David Bachner, when I lived in Vancouver, there was a Wi-Fi network in my building, Big Sausage Pizza. I wonder if somebody put a router with like, a phone number and it's like, a meetup thing, if it would catch on. Lonely. 555-4646. Kimberly, if we could only read through bubbles above our heads, probably a good thing that we can't. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's better. When we say a lot of stuff is better left unsaid, I think it's really, really the best, honestly. And here it's been signaled. So, CB Harmony. I like that. Before E Harmony, as Bobby Burgess says it, it's CB Harmony. That it's kind of interesting. And there's kind of a chance in there. There weren't a lot of girls on CB. I remember early CB 80s for me. I don't even know if I've heard one girl on the CB radio. So there weren't a lot of them. There could have been more, and of course there were, but it's like on the Harvey in general, ham radio and shortwave. I mean, look here at the amount of guys compared to the amount of women. It's it's a huge difference. Was the same for CB radio for sure. So he was lucky. You should tell your husband, there weren't a lot of women out there. You found the perfect girl thanks to CB, and you were really lucky. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think we'll be all digital by 2024. They're not even there yet, Dr. Sissa. They're not even talking about it, barely talking about it. Does the 330 D808 have better build quality? I mean, for what they are, the build quality is kind of really nice. Hey, Rob, take care. Nice to have you on board as usual. Pretty crazy when you think about it. So, hey guys, we've been on for 3 hours and 34 minutes. I think it's a pretty nice one. It's 20 minutes to midnight here. So I think we're going to take it easy for the rest of the night. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll be back on Saturday with another one at 20 hours, Universal Time. Stay safe. Love you all. And it's always cool to have all of you guys here. A nice discussion tonight on all sorts of little things. You guys on the West Coast that got some of those number stations that were directed to Pacific and Asia. That was kind of cool. I heard for the first time, but through an SDR online here, one of the V13 Taiwan number station, kind of very unique and very 80s ish style number station that was kind of cool. And hey, let's check it out here. 84, do I have it? 8415 upper sideband. You guys hearing? I have nothing here, but if you guys can decode Navtex, there's supposed to be Iqaluit Navtex on 8415 upper sideband. Check it out if you hear it or not. As we heard Iqaluit earlier, which was surprising at 0130-ish. So don't worry, John Beckham. We're going to have some announcements soon. It's coming up. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. Always nice to be on board. As David says, 73s to the guys, 88s to the ladies. And stay safe, okay? Love you all. And we'll be back next Saturday. Bye, everyone.